Good morning, everybody, and you're very welcome to UCD this morning and to our graduate orientation online. My name is Rita Smith. I'm delighted to welcome you here this morning. I'm the Associate Dean for Taught Graduate Studies, and I'm working here with my team of colleagues on the graduate programs to provide the educational program that you've signed up for in the coming year. Firstly, I want to really sincerely welcome you all to UCD, to the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems. And of course, we are delighted that you've made the choice to study with us. We know you've made a good choice and we acknowledge this choice. And with this choice for you comes a commitment for you to complete your program. But we trust and we hope and we know it will be a worthwhile and valuable experience for you. I want to acknowledge your commitment to patient care, clinical practice, and also to your career by signing up for further study at this time. We are very much aware of how busy you are in clinical practice. One of the strategic goals of UCD is to focus on our contribution as a global university to building a healthy world. And you are all contributing to this in a significant way by enhancing your knowledge for practice. UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems has an extensive and diverse portfolio of educational and research programs, and we have multiple well-developed links with key stakeholders in clinical practice, in health service management, in health policy, and also with our professional regulators in the NMBI. Through our research-led teaching, we support excellence in learning and practice. Our priority is to provide excellent graduate education with the focus on improved patient experiences and improved patient outcomes. Our aim is to foster and support optimum health and well-being for all people throughout the lifespan. We provide an environment of academic excellence with a robust foundation for the development of nursing, midwifery, and the healthcare professions. And we continuously expand our professional boundaries and prepare exceptional graduates committed to excellence in practice and also dedicated to lifelong learning. I think we're all very aware of the HSE and the NMBI core values of care, compassion, and commitment. As educators, we also hold those values, and we are committed to providing excellence in education. Our focus and our aim is to provide education to enable and to empower you in your professional practice. We are a globally high-ranking school with a sustained trajectory of providing research-led programs within a dynamic global university. And we are unique internationally because we host a cutting-edge health systems program of research within an extensive network of health service partnerships. So in many ways, we're very, very fortunate with our health service partnerships. And all our graduate registration and taught graduate clinical programs are conjointly delivered in the school with our health service provider partners. We work very closely with our clinical partners within the Ireland East Hospital Group. And you can see on this slide our wide range of clinical partners. We have excellent opportunities as well for interprofessional education. And with our colleagues and our partners in the Mater Lean Academy, we provide a wide range of interprofessional educational programs. So I want to particularly welcome colleagues who are not from nursing or midwifery backgrounds to our graduate orientation this morning. This year, we're going on a new trajectory and we're welcoming a group of students onto the primary care nursing practice program. And this is a new funded program we have this year funded by Sláinte Care. And this funding is to focus on moving care into the community. We have a group of 60 general practice nurses and community RGNs, and we're really excited to have received funding to provide this program. This program is a joint venture between ourselves and our colleagues in the School of Medicine, linked to GP training. So we're really pleased and particularly welcome students on the primary care nursing practice program for our inaugural primary care program this morning. So what is today about? Well, today is an opportunity to, I suppose, for you to get your head around many things, particularly our UCD systems. You will be given an overview on registration on Brightspace, which is our virtual classroom, from our librarian, from our writing centre colleagues. And I suppose the message we really want to get to you this morning, that our focus is that you are aware of the supports and the structures that we provide in graduate education. All our graduate programs are now delivered in a blended format, so you will be attending UCD virtually for many components of your program. Our focus to think about how we can help you succeed in your studies, to think about what's expected from you, to allow you to be able to make some contact with your program director or with my colleagues in our administration office, and also to see that we're not alone. And currently we have 291 people registered on our webinar this morning. So we're really delighted to see so many of you have logged in to this orientation session. We trust that our blended approach really does allow you to combine professional life, family life, and study. So we all were very much aware of how busy all that can be, but we are here to support you on that journey. I know we're only starting off today, and many of you are commencing the graduate diploma programs with us, but I want to flag to you, and I just want to sow a seed for you in relation to next year. And we have a structured master's education pathway program, which is an add-on 30 credit module, evidence synthesis and translation, which essentially is our master's research and dissertation module, which all graduate diploma students can follow on next year. So it allows you to gain a master's in nursing linked to your practice area with 30 credits follow on after your graduate diploma. So in many ways, I've also listed here on this slide a number of other master's programs we have in gerontology, palliative care, critical care, public health nursing. And we also have a suite of leadership, innovation and management programs for healthcare with our colleagues in health systems. So just to sow the seed and to allow you to think about, I suppose in many ways, what I want to really flag to you is an opportunity you have to gain a master's degree as a follow-on to your graduate diploma. So I want to also flag that we will be recruiting a graduate student representative for our school governing board, and I will be following up with you about that. Our social media systems are listed here. And also I want to flag that we have a very structured student support service within UCD, and our colleague student advisor is Anna Scully. So just to flag to you that all those supports are available there for you. I want to thank you all for logging on this morning, and I trust that you will have a really valuable and enjoyable year with us, despite all the study and the time commitment that you will need to put into your program. But the really valuable thing is it's an opportunity also to meet new friends, to meet colleagues in your class. And of course, we all know within all my colleagues and myself, you can learn so much from your peers. I want to thank all my colleagues for all the work and preparation for term, and also my colleagues in the administration program office who have made all this possible for us today. So all our contact details are there. I'm going to hand over shortly to our program's operations manager, Bronwyn Salmon, and Bronwyn is going to talk to you about UCD registration and systems, and also to flag to you that the chat box situation is open on the webinar, so you're able, if you have any questions at all, please do post them and we will follow up with you, of course. So welcome again, and every good wish for your success on your program with us this year. And I look forward to meeting you all in person. And many of you will be here next Monday morning. So the 11th of September is D-Day for starting. So look forward to meeting you then. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the orientation this morning. So my name is Bronwyn Salmon, and I am the Program and Operations Manager. So my presentation today, I'm just going to give you an overview of, say, the registration process, fees, and UCD policies. And just to reiterate what Rita said, if you have any questions during or after my presentation, if you could put them into the Q&A function there. And my colleagues are online now, and they will be able to answer them. And if we are unable to help you today, we will email you later on. So just before I start showing you the sort of registration process, I just would like to draw your attention to the email and the importance of updating your student profile with your personal email address. The reason is that you only have access to your UCD Connect, which is your student email address, whilst you are a registered student. So when you complete your studies here, you no longer have access to your UCD Connect email address. And our UCD conferring office, when they send you out your invites to invite you to your conferring, they send it via your personal email. So I would suggest you do this now rather than later, because once you start studying, you may forget. So just please update your record with your personal email. So if you go into your SysWeb, so you log in through your UCD Connect and then log into your SysWeb, you're able to update your profile here and add your personal email address. So the next few slides here will show you how to enroll and confirm your registration, and also how to select your modules. I know many of you are already registered to your programs and your modules, but just this is for those who still have not done so. So step one, you log into your SysWeb using the blue login with the UCD Connect button. Your username is your 8-digit student number. Your password is your date of birth. And many of you, I know, go on to change your password. And you're able to do that. So once you click into your SysWeb, you accept the UCD terms and conditions. And then you click on My Registration in the SysWeb homepage and then confirm your registration. So this is basically confirming your enrollment to the program. And your status will now become enrolled. And then you will have access to all of the UCD systems. And it's also a chance for you to upload your photograph and apply for your student card. And just to mention, any of you, if you're continuing on education or going into year 2, all students must confirm the registration year on year at the start of each academic year. So this screen here just shows you what I spoke about in the previous slide. So when you're in the SysWeb system, you click on My Registration and see the icon in red that shows you how to enroll to your program. So in terms of your module registration, you click on module registration, and then you can click on course and options. And when you click on this tab here, it will give you a list of all of your modules that are connected to your program. So, if you're doing a full-time, course with us, your modules are normally all core. So there's 6 modules that you choose. But then for those of you who are doing a, say, 2-year program, so a part-time, just, read the stage rule text, which says, please choose this in year 1. And then in year 2, when you register next year, you will choose your year 2 modules. So this is what it looks like. An example, when you choose your modules, you'll see your modules here. And then when you're registered to your modules, this feeds into your timetable. And then you can actually see then your timetable. You can also get information in relation to your credit information to see how many credits you're registered to. So the next few slides here I'm going to show you is just in relation to fees. So many of you are sponsored. So if the fees for your program are being paid by a third party, full or partial, please send the details of your sponsor to student.payments@ucd.ie. And by doing this, our fees office will put you on a contract, fee contract. So this means that there will be no fee holds on your record. And if you want to see how much fees that you owe, you can access this via your SysWeb again by logging into your SysWeb and clicking on student fees and payments. And just to ensure that your fees are accurately reflected in your student record. So this screen here shows you when you log into your SysWeb, if you click on to your student record summary, your fees will flag up normally on the bottom. So I want to draw your attention to, if you have a non-EU fee rate, this can happen by clicking on a button incorrectly, or if your nationality is outside of the EU. This is very important, that if your status flags non-EU, that you complete a non-EU fee assessment as soon as possible, because if you don't, you will generate international fees, which are normally double. And even though your hospital or sponsor may have paid your fees, you will still have a balance remaining. So that's only for students who have a non-EU fee rate attached to their record. And as I said, if you do have that, please carry out the fee EU assessment, and this will remove the status from your record. So the next few slides, I'm going to talk about kind of extenuating circumstances, leave of absence, withdrawal, and also RPL. So if an unforeseen circumstance happens, that you can't submit maybe work on time, or you can't maybe attend a lecture or a lab or a clinical skills lab, or it's going to affect your exams, could you please contact your module coordinator and your program director? And then they will advise you if your circumstances meet the requirements of extenuating circumstances. And if that's the case, you would make an application to apply for extenuating circumstances. And this is done by SysWeb again. So if you go into your SysWeb and then you click on the third tab across, this will take you into various instructions. It's program services on how to apply for extenuating circumstances. Or, for example, if you wish to take leave of absence, or you want to withdraw from your program, this is where you would instigate these processes. But before you say embark on leave of absence, please discuss it with your program director first, and also withdraw from the program. As Risha mentioned earlier, and I'll show you a slide further on down, we do have a student advisor called Anna Scully, who is very helpful, particularly if you are, kind of coming under, or you have, or experiencing challenging situations. So recognition of prior learning. So many of you have already completed studies with us, or have completed studies in other third level institutions. And you may find that there might be a module or modules on your current program that you feel, I've already done a similar module elsewhere. So in this case, you can apply for recognition of prior learning. And it must be a level 9. It has to be a level 9 module. And it must be the same amount of credits. So normally all our modules are 10 credits. So it must equate in the credits to map across. And the learning outcomes must be aligned with the learning outcomes of the module that you're studying. So again, if you feel that you've already done a module, please apply for RPL. And this is done, I'll just move back up to this screen, through SysWeb and through program services. And you can click on apply for RPL. And then it is important to put the module that you are looking to have, I suppose, to be assessed against, and then to upload the transcript or details of the module that you feel that would meet the criteria of the module that's on your program. Now, if you are a former UCD student, there's no need to do that. You just say, look, I already did a course here, and we can access your records. So first of all, the application process. Once you submitted, the module coordinator reviews it, then it goes to our standing committee, and then it's actioned by UCD registry. The process can take maybe 4 to 5 weeks, but then you will notice a deduction in your credits. Normally people have certainly like 10 credits of RPL. So where you have a 60 credit program, then you'll have 50 credits. So here it is again, just in terms of if you're applying for RPL, you log into SysWeb and you click on applications, and then click on the RPL tab here to instigate the process. So this is our student advisor's email, anna.scully@ucd.ie, and she is here to provide support for all of our students. So your U-card is your student card, and this will get you access to, say, for example, the library. And once you confirm your registration and upload your photo in the online registration, where I showed you in the previous slides, you can collect your U-card. I do know if you're unable to collect it and you wish to get it posted out, the unit that processes the UCD Bureau, they can post it out to you. I think they do charge, though, a fee for doing that, but all information is on the U-card website. But you must confirm your registration and have your photo uploaded. So if you are coming to campus, yes, there is lots of buses coming, but if you are driving, I would suggest you visit our UCD estates commuting to UCD, because many of our car parks, you have to have a permit to park. Now, there are visitor car parks, but please familiarize yourself with this information before coming on to the campus, because there's a lot of clampers that go around, and they do clamp if you are not displaying the correct information or you don't have a permit. So please, please, please familiarize yourself if you are coming here by car. And finally, if you're contacting us, many of you have dealt with a administrator during your application process. So you can contact one of the team members. And we also have a connector form, which we would encourage you to use. And that also has information when you go to populate that. So it might save you time if you go via this route here. So it's on our website, and you click on contact us, and then you are able to communicate with us that way. So thank you very much for attending today, and thanks for listening. So I am going to pass you over now to Orla Daly. This is a very, very, very important session. This is Introduction to Brightspace.
Welcome to the orientation session this morning. I'm just going to take about 15 or 20 minutes to run through Brightspace, which is the learning management system. As we just said, we have blended programs here, so you will use Brightspace very often. I'm just going to turn off my camera. So for those of you who are new to UCD, you find Brightspace by going to UCD Connect, and Connect is effectively the student portal. And apologies if if you're a previous student and you're very familiar with this, but I'm sure there are people who haven't seen it before. So I'm just going to quickly run through it. So to find UCD Connect, you just type UCD into any search engine and it will pop up, and you come to the home page. And Connect is always in the upper right-hand corner, UCD Connect. And you just click on that, and it will bring up a list of all of the applications and systems that you have access to once you have completed registration. And you can see there that there's Gmail for students, and that will be your at ucdconnect.ie account. And then there's the logo for Brightspace. There is a Google Drive for students, which is secure online storage. If you're not used to using Google Drive, it's well worth learning how to use it, because it means you can access your files anywhere from any computer once you log in through UCD Connect. There's a Google Calendar, which is very useful. It shows events that are on in the university and so forth. Password self-service is where you go if you want to change your password. It also gives you access to the student information system, SysWebs. There are some software that you can download. I won't go into that now, but it is possible to access applications like Microsoft Office. They're provided as part of your studies here in UCD. A very important link here to the library, details of your library account and all of your books out. The UCD directory, if you're looking for a member of staff, you can look up their name and email address should appear there. The link to Zoom, every student gets a pro account when they join, and there's information in Brightspace, and I'll show you about how to access that. There's also a link to Office 365, which is Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and that's all online. So it's kind of important to sort of find your way around UCD Connect. To open any of the applications, you simply click on it, and that will open up whichever application you want to open. I think I'm just going to go back into my own account just to show you. It's just slightly different. But so you open it up, and that's your Gmail opening up. And over on the right-hand side here, this will also give you access to Google Drive and all of the other applications there. This is quite slow this morning, I wonder why. So if I open up Brightspace, it opens up like this. And the interface for me is a little bit different for you because I'm registered to loads of modules. So what I'm going to do now is stop sharing that screen and access Brightspace as a student, just to walk you through a module. So this is the student view of a module, and you might have 1 or 2 modules more than me. This is the home page. If you click on the UCD crest in the upper left-hand corner, it will always bring you back to the landing page where all your modules are listed. This is another little icon which gives you a drop-down of all of your modules, and you can pin modules if you want them to appear at the top of the list. That is message alerts and subscription alerts, which a lot of people don't use. This little bell icon tells you when something new has been added to your to a module that you're registered to. So for example, this little icon is saying that the module coordinator, me, Orla, added a new announcement 10 hours ago. And to simply open that, you just click on it. Also, it shows you when new content has been added to the learning materials area. So it's just, if you see the little orange dot, maybe click on it to see what's there. This is your student account, which will show up there. You have your profile and you have notifications. And I did see a number of questions in the Q&A about not using your UCD Connect email account. And I think that my own advice is that you absolutely must use your UCD Connect Gmail account. It is the means by which all official communications are sent out by the university until you complete your studies. And also module coordinators send out a lot of notifications and updates. You know, things change, maybe a session time or a link or something changes, and that will go to your UCD Connect account. So if you're not using your UCD Connect account, you're really going to struggle. And I have had students get in touch with me sort of in November saying, I didn't know because I never look at that account. And really, you know, there's a lot of people online here this morning, and if you take only one thing away from what I'm saying is please use your UCD Connect Gmail account. Check it every day while you're studying. It's important. In Brightspace, there is this, you see this announcements, and announcements just show up in an individual module. So if I put an announcement up in Sandbox 2 module, it'll just show in Sandbox 2. However, what you can do is you can go in and change your notifications so that you get an email every time there's an announcement. So a module coordinator might put up a short notice announcement saying a guest speaker wasn't able to make a session or something like that, and they will send that out. And they may put it up as an announcement. So what you can do is click on notifications, and what you're saying is email me a summary of each activity. So what it is announcements. So whenever there's a new announcement, send an email to your UCD Connect account and just click on save. And that means that you don't actually have to go into every single module every single day, but at least if it's in your email account, you'll know that it's there. On the home page, you can just go show all announcements, and it will show you all the announcements that are there. And you can see that everything is just a link. All I'm doing is highlighting the text, the little hand icon comes up, and clicking on it. So I want to go back to my home page. So I just click on the UCD crest, and it brings me back to my home page, which shows all my modules. So I'm just going to go into a module here to give you an idea of the layout of a module. On the home page of all modules, you will see this module descriptor icon. If it's collapsed, you just, every time you see a little gray downward arrow like this, just click on it and it will expand it. Always accept all cookies, because that's very important to access the systems correctly. You can scroll down, and for each module, it will take you to the module descriptor. So it'll give you information about what you will learn, what the learning outcomes are, and what the assessments are in a module. You can see there that there's a calendar event there. And if you click on upcoming events, oh, I can see that I'm due to click an assignment, submit an assignment on the 29th. The ask a question ends on the 29th, which isn't very helpful. None of them should end on the 29th. And you can see there that the assignment availability ends on the 29th. So obviously I have an assignment that's due on the 29th of September at 3 o'clock. So that means that that's when the possibility of submitting that assignment is going to end. And I've just set the time for 12 there, but I'll show you that when I go in. So you can see there again, it's just a link, click on this, welcome to the new year. At the top here, you have My Learning. This is called the navigation bar. My Learning is where all the learning materials, the content for your modules shows up. Under assessment, you can click on this to go to assignments. However, you won't always see the assignments straight away because there is an authorship and plagiarism declaration that you're required to sign before you actually access this assignment submission link. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You go down to grades. When you have submitted assignments and they've been graded and the grades have been released with feedback, that's where you access your assignment feedback and grades. You can, most modules in the graduate have what's called an ask a question, discussion forum, where you can go in and do what it says on the tin, click here to ask a question, start a new thread, type in a title and click on post. And that's a good way to keep in touch with your module coordinator and even your classmates. If you have general questions about a module, obviously don't post anything that's personal or make any, requests in there that just relate to yourself. But for module related questions or things that, you need a bit of help on figuring out, that's a good place to go. My Class shows the class list. It also shows if you're in any groups. And it also is the link by where you go to get the link for your weekly online classes, where you have your online classes. So if I click on Virtual Classroom Zoom, as I said, we all have access to professional Zoom accounts in UCD. And you can see here, you should see that you have a list of your classes set up. So I have a class starting on Monday, the 11th of September at 9 a.m. And all I do on Monday, the 9th of September is click on Join. Okay, so it's very straightforward. If you read what's on the screen, generally it's pretty easy. After the class is finished, most of the live classes are recorded. If they're not, it will be explained to you why by the module coordinator. You can go back and find the recording by clicking on the cloud recordings. And you can see in here that there's a recording there, September 3rd, 2021. Recordings are only maintained for 400 days. So obviously that won't be relevant to you, but I can't show you this one because it's been deleted because it was a recording from 2021. But just to remember that it's My Class, Virtual Classroom Zoom. You'll see all your upcoming classes. They may not be all set up. People may set them up differently on a week-to-week basis, but this one is just set up with them all up until October. You just click on Join to find your recordings. If you want to review them, just go into Cloud Recordings. So again, to navigate, all I'm doing is to use these buttons at the top to go backward and forward. So I'm just going to go into My Learning. And you can see here that there's a menu on the left-hand side of the screen. Everything comes under learning materials. Sometimes the learning materials might be all collapsed. So if you might go in and you might see it looks like this. Just go up to the top there and click on Expand All, or to see individual folders. These are essentially folders. Just click on the downward arrow, and you can see that this is another way to access the Ask a Question forum. So if I want to ask a question, all I do is click on Ask a Question, takes me in. What do I have to do? Click on Start a New Thread, and you can see yourselves how it works. So again, to go backwards, I can either click on My Learning or I can click on Learning Materials on the top left of the screen. Underneath here, there's the links to, so you don't have to sort of try and remember everything that I say today. There's a Welcome to UCD Student IT Guide. It's well worth looking at that. That's run by Educational Technology Services in UCD. There's a video explaining Brightspace. There's further UCD guides. there's a guide about how to use Zoom. So it tells you how to access your Zoom Pro licensed account. So say, for example, you guys want to meet up independently and you want to organize a session to do some group work, you can set up your own Zoom meetings. So that is explained to you how to do that in that little guide, online guide there. And again, to go backwards, all I'm doing is using the little breadcrumb trail or the navigation bar at the top. So the guides are there, and I would recommend having a look at them, and they're there for the whole of your module. Underneath that, most module coordinators will upload a module overview and schedule. And again, I'm just clicking on the link to show me what it is. And you can see here, it'll look something like this. There, people put up their own variations on it, and it'll show you what weeks are, and you know what you're studying that week, and what you're doing, and what you're what your learning activities are. And as I say, there are different versions of these in different modules, but it's helpful to have that. So, and that is downloadable as well. And I'll just show you where the download link is. There's, again, these little gray arrows you see there. If I click on download, that will allow me to download that file. Also in the module information, there's a little guide about setting your announcements to pop as emails, which I showed you earlier on from your notifications. So if you've forgotten how to do that, that's in there. Usually there's an assessment folder, which is broken down into 1 or 2 assignments. There's an assessment resources, which sort of links out to the school website with some of the information that Bronwyn took you through in regard to late submission extenuating. There's a link to the Harvard referencing guide, and there's a PDF of the Harvard referencing guidelines. So I'm just going to go back here to assignment 1. So this is generally how, if you have an essay assignment or a video assignment or whatever kind of an assignment you have, you will have the instructions at the top. That is generally, as you can see, it's PDF document. Again, if I want to download that, I can, you don't have to. This is the authorship and plagiarism declaration. And you must always complete this unless your module coordinator says otherwise. And what it is doing is saying here, a condition of making an online submission is that you've read and agreed to the following statements. So you as a student won't be able to access this link until you complete this. So this will actually be hidden for you. It's showing up in this one because I've actually done this before. So you just click on it and you put 2 little ticks in the box. And you have to read through all of this. If this is new to you, read through it first so that you understand what you're actually saying and what you're agreeing to. And then you can go back to your assignment 1 folder and then click here to submit your assignment. And again, there's a whole bunch of information there telling you what the date is. You don't have to make hard copies. If you've made an error uploading, you can re-upload. There's slight variation. Some module coordinators may have slightly different instructions, but in general, they're more or less the same as this. So all you have to do then is click on the upload button. That will ask you then to browse and to find a file wherever on your computer. And we're not going to do that now. So it's very straightforward, and you click on submit. And when you submit your assignment, you get an email into your UCD Connect email account confirming that you've made a submission. And there's a record in Brightspace of every submission that you make that's visible by both you and the module coordinator. And you can see here, these little dates are very important. This assignment is set to be due on the 29th of September at 3 o'clock. That's 3 o'clock Brightspace time. It's not 3 o'clock on the clock in your kitchen or the clock at work. So if you try to log in at 3:01, the link won't be available because it is 3 o'clock and it means 3 o'clock. So sometimes people get caught out, they leave it till the last minute. Try not to do that, because if you are literally 30 seconds past the hour, Brightspace will remove the link and you'll have to get in touch with the module coordinator. So this tells you available on the 5th of September. I know that in a lot of your modules, your content is available from today. Just this sentence, access restricted before availability starts. What that means is you can see that it's there, but you can't actually click on it and open it. It's available until the 29th of September at 3 o'clock. which means that you'll be able to see it after the 29th September, but you won't be able to click on the link because obviously it's an assignment and you should have submitted it at 3 o'clock. So it's just to understand what those little dates are all about, and different people use time release dates for releasing content as well as assignments. So just to show you, generally the modules are set up something similar to this. This, for example, would say you have a live online class on the 12th of September. That should be the 11th because the 12th is a Tuesday. So it says, click on my class. It's just telling you how to find the Zoom link. Module coordinators occasionally add in links to the, if there's a pre-recorded lecture, sometimes a guest lecture will be pre-recorded. It'll show up as a link like this. What do? You just click on the link and up it pops and you just click on play. So again, it's all very straightforward in terms of navigation. It can be a bit kind of the folders collapsing and opening, but just remember there's the collapse all and expand all. Sometimes, you know, mostly the lecture slides are uploaded as PDFs. Here's an example of what a little formative quiz will look like. You can do it as many times as you like. You can complete it. And all I'm doing is clicking on the link. I've got 5 questions. I just click and I do all my questions here. And I do all my questions and I submit my quiz. And it tells me how I got on. So there's lots and lots of formative quizzes in the graduate modules just to help you check your learning as you go along. So it sort of explains to you that I got it right, and then it gives you a little sort of bit of feedback there as to why you're right or wrong. So and then it can show you how many times you've attempted it and all the rest of it. So I can see that my 20 minutes is up now, but I hope that you found that informative and that you have some sense of how to navigate through Brightspace. I'll be online if you have any questions around how to use Brightspace. If you do have any problems accessing content in Brightspace or viewing videos or anything that you have to do in Brightspace, feel free to email me at orla.daly@ucd.ie. I would recommend that if you have any questions to get in touch with me as soon as possible, because the earlier you sort of figure this out, I think the more straightforward your blended studies are going to be. So with that, I'm going to finish up and wish you all the best for your studies, and hopefully it will all be so straightforward you'll never have to hear from me again throughout your entire programme. Best of luck to everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Good morning, everyone. You're all very welcome to UCD. So basically, my name is Željka Doljanin. I run the Writing Center in UCD. And today I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Writing Center. So basically, you know, who are we? Where are we? What do we do? How can we help you? Why do students generally come to the Writing Center for help with their assignments and that sort of thing? So, okay, I mean, it is a free service for all UCD students, undergraduate, postgraduate, everybody is welcome. We provide 2 main things. One is one-on-one sessions with the writing tutor. So it's you alone with the tutor. And then also some occasional seminars or workshops on different topics of academic writing. You can do both of these online or in person. Really, what we would like to do is to help the students to communicate their knowledge in the written format, because, you know, it's one thing knowing something, thinking something, and quite another to actually put it on paper so that we have a very clear and logical and coherent writing in front of us. And really, we just want to help the students become more confident writers and more independent writers. So basically, I mean, if you see this picture here and you see this student really struggling, this is why we opened the Writing Center in the first time, because we saw this gap. You know, the students would be doing all their work, they would be doing all their reading. Lots of students have the knowledge, but when it comes to putting it down, it becomes a problem. They have no problem talking in class, they have no problem debating something, but when they have to structure a proper essay or a proper paper, this is when they start to struggle. So we are really trying to talk to the student when they come to our sessions, ask them questions about their work, and really try to prompt them to think about how they might structure the work, because structure is the biggest problem really in academic writing. Obviously, you are assessed on the basis of your written work, so it is very important for you that your work is well structured, that it is well phrased, that it is clear, that it makes sense, that it is strong in its arguments, in its basic premises. So we're trying to help with that. And also I want to stress that really academic writing is a skill. It could be learned. And obviously you're not supposed to know anything at the moment. You don't have to. But as you go along and as you start thinking about the topics that you have to write about, you will actually become better at it and you will find it easier. Every next assignment should be a little bit easier because you will have that structure kind of mastered a little bit. So some of the things we offer, I said, are workshops or seminars or just talks on different topics. These are just some examples. You know, we gave talks on essay structure, descriptive versus analytical writing, referencing, academic phrasing, how to read journal articles, how to write a literature review, reflective writing. So there are all sorts of different types of writing in academia. So sometimes this is all advertised on our website, on our Facebook, Twitter, and sometimes we send direct emails to students. And if you see some of these coming up, we try to run them a few times during the semester. You can sign up. Also, there is a website of the Writing Center, www.ucd.ie/Writing Center. And we have lots of videos there and some handouts on academic writing. I mean, obviously, you don't have to look at those, but if you'd like to get a head start or if you're just interested, you see 2 videos are here. One is how to write a literature review without melting down. It's a very popular one. Another one is writing analytically. So they may be helpful, just if you want to take a look. But the main service that we offer and the most popular service is really one-on-one writing sessions. I mean, here in the picture, you can see me with 2 students because sometimes students like to come in pairs and sometimes even 3 or 4 students would come to talk to a tutor together because they could be working on the same paper and maybe they don't know how to start. I mean, these sessions, they are student-centered. So basically, we are there to help you with whatever you tell us to help you with. Any questions that you have about the assignment that you're working on, any issue that you think you might have, anything that you struggle with writing, we will be there to talk specifically about your own paper. So that's a great thing. And I wish that existed when I was studying. Just even having somebody to read parts of what I have written, just for somebody to read my paragraph and give me some kind of feedback is actually really fantastic. So sometimes students ask us, you know, when is the best time to come? Should I come when I start writing, or should I come in the middle of my writing, or when I have already finished my paper? And that really depends on you. I mean, we have some students to come even before they get their first assignment. They just want to talk about writing, or they just want to, you know, maybe they have been out of academia for a while, or they're very unsure about their writing, and they just want to talk to a tutor a little bit, you know, what to expect in academic writing. Sometimes students get the question, their assignment question, and they just, they don't know how to start. They don't know how to plan for it. Sometimes they're not sure they understand the question. How much should they narrow it down? You know, if the question is very broad. So we get those kinds of queries. Sometimes students do the reading, they understand the question, and they do a bit of, you know, maybe brainstorming, but they don't know how to plan their assignments. So sometimes we help them with the outline, just, you know, what should come first, what should be in the introduction. How many paragraphs should there be? Things like that. Sometimes students write and they just bring us the whole assignment. Now, our sessions, these one-on-one sessions that you see, they're usually 30 minutes long. So obviously it's not realistic that we will go through somebody's whole paper. But we would get, we are quite experienced at looking at students' work. We would get an idea. We would read as much as we can and try to give feedback. My only suggestion would be, don't come a few days before you're submitting or on the day when you're submitting. It's really good to come a little bit before. I think that academic writing takes always much longer than we planned for, even if we know what we are saying. Even going through references, it just takes longer than you think it would take. So I would suggest, coming in a bit earlier. You will be able to book your appointment online, but you are also able to just drop in. And I always recommend just drop in, because very often when you go and want to book an appointment with us, it looks like it's all booked out. And this is because some students book, they don't show up, but if you actually come to us, if you drop in, you might see that the tutor is just sitting there free. Or, somebody books half an hour session and they only have one short question about referencing and we are done in 3 minutes. So, there may be a space there. What we help you with, we could help understanding assignment question. Obviously, if it's something that's not very discipline specific that we just wouldn't know. But if you're worried about how the question is set, sometimes students don't understand when a lecturer says discuss or evaluate or discuss analytically, they're not quite sure how to go about those types of questions. We can help with planning, structuring, very important how to structure your work. How to build your argument. What are you arguing? What are you proposing in your paper? Very often students are not sure how to be analytical, and sometimes they are being analytical. They just don't think they are. Sometimes lecturers would say, this is too descriptive, you need to be more analytical, and they're not quite sure what it means. Sometimes it's about editing and revising. Sometimes a student just wants us to look at their phrasing. Is the phrasing okay? Are there any grammar problems? Sometimes they get a feedback from the lecturer that they don't quite understand what it means, and referencing and similar queries. This is some feedback that we usually ask students to fill in after one-on-one sessions. And one of the questions is, I feel more confident about my assignment, and they could click on yes, no, or not sure. And actually, a lot of students say that they do feel much more confident. And this is what we are working on. We really don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We don't want you to feel worried. We don't want you to feel stressed out, because very often it's really about the structure. It's really about somebody just telling you, how to plan, how to outline, how to structure, and then you find it much easier to proceed. Now, we can't help with some things. Obviously, we can't help with the content because we are not from your discipline. So we are purely looking at the writing. We are really looking at the structure. We are looking, as your readers, can we follow your line of thinking? Is it structured well? Is it logical? Is it coherent? Are the paragraphs maybe too long or too short? The evidence that you're giving, is it well presented? Is it well referenced? Could it be phrased maybe a little bit more effectively, a little bit more strongly, a little bit more confidently? So things like that, but we can't help with the content. We don't correct your assignments. Sometimes I don't even know what it means, to be honest, because sometimes students come and say, could you please fix this? Or could you please correct my assignment? Well, there is no correction going on. We talk to you about your assignment. We discuss it with you. We ask you what you would like to say. We ask you what you think the main points are. What is the main thing you're arguing here? And we start from there. We can't proofread. or help with English as a foreign language. Now, what I mean is, well, we are not, trained language teachers. Now, obviously, if you're worried about your English, we can look at parts of your assignment. We can go with you through a few paragraphs. We can see whether we see any grammatical issues, anything that keeps coming up, any repeated mistakes. We can obviously advise on those. But our primary thing would be really the structure of writing and the argumentation of writing. This is our space. We are located in the James Joyce Library. So it's a glass space. It's a very open space. The door is open all the time when we are there, because we'd like the students to just come in. We like the students, if they're working in the library, to just see if somebody's free. Just walk in, talk to the tutor. If we're not free, you can book an appointment. If you're not sure how we can help you, again, just come on in and talk to us, and one of the tutors will talk to you. Now, the writing tutors, they are postdoctoral students, or they are currently working on their doctorates. They do come from different disciplines. I mean, the main thing is that they are experienced at assessing student work. Like, many of them have worked or work as editors on some journals, and that they are very approachable and non-judgmental. I mean, I love the position that we have in the Writing Center, which is that we are really, we don't grade your assignments. We are not there to judge your assignment. We are just, we're just fellow writers, and that's how we see ourselves. We really just want to make somebody's writing better. We just want to help the writers write. So we really see ourselves as fellow writers, because we are so interested in writing, and most of us are writing our doctorates and our own stuff anyway. So really, that's how we see ourselves, and I hope you get to see us like that as well. I mean, all other info is on our website. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. You can email writing.center@ucd.ie. Even now, after this session, if you have any questions, I will be answering those emails. So anything you couldn't think of now, but you think of later, please feel free to email me. So really, that's it. I don't know if we are taking questions at this point. I joined a bit later, so I wasn't sure. Okay, so I see the questions here. My first assignment is on the 25th of September. Can I get a writing session before that, or are you only available after the 25th? Yeah, we do open on the 25th. I mean, this is when the tutors are actually employed. They're employed from the 25th, which is week 3 of the semester. But why don't you email me maybe next week, Merlin, writing.center@ucd.ie, and I can see if anybody is around. So, okay, so these other questions are not for me, I don't think. Great, I don't think there are any other questions for me. Feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Zalka. It's such a reassuring presentation. I'm sure all our students commencing with us this autumn are delighted to hear your presentation, because it really is a wonderful service. And we're very grateful to the support you provide to our students, because it really has been, as you know, as we've discussed often, how helpful that is, especially for professional practice nurses who are returning to study after some time away. And it's really helpful. Thanks a million.
You're very welcome. And I hope everybody enjoys their time in UCD, and I hope to see you in the Writing Center.
Thank you. So Dermot Stokes is up next to give a presentation in relation to the library.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dermot Stokes, and I'll just see if I can share my screen. There we go. As you heard, I'm from the library, and I'm here to just give you a quick introduction to where things are in the library. Okay, let me just properly start. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is we're just going to, as I said, introduce you to UCD Library, make sure you're aware of all the services and resources, introduce you to OneSearch, and also answer any questions that you might have. Just some background information about the library. If you haven't been to UCD before, while we talk of UCD Library, we have actually 5 library sites. Obviously, the main one for you would be the Health Sciences Library, but we have a veterinary medicine library. The James Joyce Library is our largest library. We also have an architecture library and also a library down in Blackrock as well for business studies. Just a quick note about the James Joyce Library. There's been a big lot of development and happening over the summer, and we will be opening at the start of the semester a redeveloped floor of the library. So if you want to see a really, really lovely study space, I would recommend that you visit that at some stage if you're on campus, just to see the developments that are coming in the library. You will need your student card or your card when you want to access the library. You can also download the UCD app from the app stores, whether it's a Mac for Apple or for Android. And you can put your details on that. You can use that as your card to enter the libraries, and also you can use it to borrow books as well. Speaking of borrowing, so you would be able to borrow 30 books for 60 days in the long loan collection, 3 short week loan books for 7 days. Both of those you can renew. And then we have short loan books for 7 days and you can't renew. So all of those are available to you. So where can you find information for this course? There's a load of places where you can search for information that will be useful. Some of these might be familiar to you from previous studies that you've done. Some of them may not be familiar. So this is an opportunity for you to access and try out these resources and see how they support you, not only for your program that you're on at the moment, but how then you can use them after you finish the course here and are back at or continuing on in work and professional development. All of these resources are available both on and off campus, and all you need to do is sign in with your UCD Connect details whenever you want to access those materials. If you cannot, for whatever reason, sign in with your UCD Connect details, just email me and I'll make sure you get my contact details, or at least show you how to access my details before this session is over, and I look into it and we can see what the solution is. So I'm just going to bring you back to the library homepage. So the library homepage, you can find it at ucd.ie/library. And all these links will be in the presentation, which I'll send on afterwards. Alternatively, you can go into UCD Connect. And in UCD Connect, if you scroll on down, you will see a link for library online tools, or you can check your library account as well. So if I click on library online tools, that will introduce you links to OneSearch, etc. But I'm going to leave those alone for the moment because I want to point out this section here at the top. It says guides and help, and this is a really important site for you to familiarize yourself, particularly while you're getting back up to speed as a UCD student, and because we have loads of help and supports here for you. So if I click on guides and help and then go to I'm a student, we've got a range at the bottom there of videos and interactive tutorials. So they're going to go at your speed. The videos, they're about 3 to 4 minutes long, so they're really focused. So everything from researching your topic, finding and searching for information, etc. All those are readily available to you. We also have subject guides. So we have subject guides ranging from agriculture down to veterinary nursing. Obviously, the guide that you're primarily interested in is going to be the Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems Guide. So if I click in there, So on the front page there, you will see my contact details. So if you have a question about anything, why can't I access this off campus? Why am I being asked for a credit card? Why is this ebook not available to me? Contact me. Just click on the email me button and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. On the right-hand side, we have a link to journal articles and databases. So if you click in there, that's going to highlight some of the main resources. And as I said before, you're probably familiar with some of these from previous studies or that you use them at work. And as I said, if you need to access anything, it's going to be your UCD Connect login details that you'll use to access those materials. One thing we all say in the library is that don't assume that we have managed to get everything you will ever need for your program into the nursing, midwifery, and health systems or any of the guides. So when you have an assignment or you're investigating a topic, we always recommend that you have a think about what other subjects or disciplines could be useful in this for that question, and then seeing if we have another guide on that area, and then popping in to see what other resources, databases, etc., that are not on the nursing, midwifery, and health systems guide that could be useful to you. They all have the same structure, so once you know your way around the nursing guide, all the others will have the same structure, so you should be able to find what you're looking for. And at the very, very top, we have a section on study skills. And here you'll find information on finding and searching for information, evaluating information, critical thinking, etc. There are a couple of really important guides to mention to you. One is the referencing and plagiarism guide. And I know you're going to hear about plagiarism a bit later in more detail, but this guide is really, really useful for helping you with that. The school uses the Harvard referencing style, and the details of what that style is in the Harvard style guide button here. If I click in there, you'll see loads of examples, books, journal articles, newspapers, websites, etc., and various examples or versions of books. So for example, if you had a book with 2 or 3 authors, you can click on the link there, and it shows you what bits of information you need and how they're to be laid out, and an example as well underneath. You probably remember from referencing, citing and referencing that you've done in the past, the devil is in the detail, and it takes a time to make sure that it is perfect, and you want to make sure that it is perfect and consistent, so that you'll basically get the best grades that you can get. So give yourself enough time to make sure that you get your referencing right. It's useful to build a bit of extra time into your plan when you've got an assignment, so that you have enough time to get the referencing correct. So you can either go to the example there, or there's a downloadable version that you can use as well. It depends on how you prefer working. If you're happy online, I know I prefer at times to have something tangible in my hand. So it's really what works for you. So just make sure that you pick the version that's going to be most comfortable for you. Also here we've got EndNote. You may or may not have heard of EndNote. And EndNote is software that you can use to manage your references. So you might have seen in the presentation resources such as CINAHL, PubMed, Embase. We're going to show you OneSearch in a minute. And you can use EndNote to gather all the references you're interested in from those sources. And then there's a feature called Cite While You Write, which works with Microsoft Word, that allows you to insert your references from your EndNote library, the references that you have picked and are important for that assignment, and then you can use that to insert them into your assignment in the style that the school is expecting you to use. So EndNote could be useful to to gather all your references together for all the assignments that you want to do, but it also can be useful then to save you time because the software will take care of the details of the referencing for you. Thanks to COVID, we've managed to put all our training for EndNote online. And when you're in the EndNote guide, you'll see there's a link there for EndNote training. If you click on that, you'll see EndNote training, EndNote 20 for Windows users and EndNote 20 for Mac users. There's instructions on how to install it on your own computers. And then there's a half-hour video of me going through the basics of how to get up to speed with EndNote and a workbook that goes along with it. I personally have found that EndNote to be very useful when I've got an assignment or from previous studies, or I need to write something. Because the references, if you've done it properly, the references are ready for you to insert into your document, and it'll do it, as I said, in the style that's expected you to use. So it could be worth your while checking this out. It's not something that you just do once and then that's it. You do need to go through it a number of times just to make sure that you are happy with it and you're familiar with it. And then every time it's exactly the same way. So once you know how to use it, it doesn't really change. So that could be a useful tool for you to get up to speed with. If I go back to the library homepage, just to show you one search on how that would how that would work. So if I wanted to put in, for example, children's nursing. And a few years ago, we would have called this the library catalog, and you could have used this to see if we have a book or a journal. Now you can use it to see, not only do we have a book, but an ebook as well, and read the ebook, and also search for articles as well. So it's much more developed. So I put children's nursing in and I click on the search button. And I see we have 155,000 references. So nobody's going to go through that. So one of the best tips I can give you is to always identify any phrase that you're using. So I'm not looking for two unconnected words. I'm searching for a phrase, children's nursing. So I just put quotation marks around it. If I do the search again, we should see a big reduction. So I'm down to 1,300 items. That's books, journals, videos, newspaper articles, the full range. And you can use the options here on the left to narrow it down. So if I'm on campus and I want to get or the book is only available in print, I can just tick the print books option here. Everything else is hidden. So all you're going to see is the books that you can borrow. And we can use this line here underneath to tell you where to get your hands on this book. So check shelves means the book is not on loan, so it should be available. So you have to go to the library and get your hands on it. The subject number, you don't really need to concern yourself too much about this, but always remember one thing: every subject has its own number. So if you get to this number on the shelves and the book you want is not there, it is worthwhile having a look around because there could be other books that could be useful. Health Sciences tells you which of the libraries the book is in. And we showed you the details of the various libraries in UCD. And General just gives you more information about how long you can borrow this book for. So this book is a book that you could borrow for 60 days at a time. It will auto renew up to 5 times if nobody else is looking for it. If you haven't been to UCD before and you're wondering, right, I barely know where the Health Sciences building is, where do I find the book in the library? we've introduced this new system. It's called Stack Maps. And if I click on the map button here, you get a graphical representation of where you go to get this book. So all the information you need is here. So it's on level 1, which is the middle floor of the library. It's in the health sciences library. It even highlights the shelf in red there that you need to be going for. You need to go to aisle 1.8B, and when you come to the library, on the end of every shelf, there is an A4 sheet of paper with the aisle number, and you just follow those in sequence until you get what you're looking for. And then you just can go to look for that number on the shelves. Then you can either read it at a desk in the library, or you can take it downstairs and borrow the book if you want to. So it's all up to you. Something went wrong there. So if you're at home and you won't be coming on campus and you need to get your hands on an ebook, we have another button here for ebook full text online. So I can just click that and it hides everything else and just gives you the ebooks. And if you want to access an ebook, you just click on the full text online link. If you're asked to log in, as I said, it's going to be UCD Connect. In this case, I wasn't. Depending on who we get the book from, there could be a different experience. And in this case, they could download the PDF or put it onto a Kindle with the EPUB version. Sorry, let me just. I'm just trying to find a more common option. That's not it either. Here we go. So this is one that I have to log in. And as I said, I have to log in my UCD Connect login details. And then this time we find out we have unlimited access. So everybody who is on this Zoom meeting would be able to access it at one time. Some of them, there could be only 3 people have got access. And if you're number 4, you might have to wait for half an hour or an hour and then try again, and you should be able to get access. Got the table of contents. So if you're told you need to read chapter 27, you can download the PDF and have it on your computer. So you got both ebooks and print books. It's whatever is that's best for you and that you want to use. It's available to you. However, it's not just print books or ebooks. You might be asked to look at or search for journal articles. And under the content type button here, there's an option for journal articles. And I can just click on that. It'll hide everything else. We still have about 880 articles. So one of the best ways to sort of focus in and make sure you've got the best quality, the most appropriate material, is to limit it by date. So you could go for 5 years to get you the most up-to-date research on that area. And then just as we did with the ebooks, I can just click on the full text online. And you access the journal article. And then you can either read it online or you can download it as a PDF and then you'll have it for forever on your own computer. The other thing to just mention is that we talked about referencing and citing, and you are going to hear about plagiarism and later on this morning. You need to keep track of your references. So if you're finding articles, books, whatever it is that are useful for an assignment or something that you're investigating, keep track of what those references are. Because if it comes to writing up and you can't remember where you found that useful bit of information, you can't use it because you don't want to open yourself up to the possibility of plagiarism. So you'll see beside each reference here, there's a little ribbon or bookmark icon, and you just click the ones that you're interested in. And then there is a large version of that icon on here in the top right-hand corner with the number that of references you've ticked. Just click on that, and that will list them. And then you can email the details to yourself. You can print the details off. Remember, we mentioned EndNote, so you can also export them to EndNote as well if you want to. Just be aware that this folder here is a temporary folder. It's not going into an account or anything like that. So if you shut down your browser or shut down this tab, you lose your references. If you go for coffee or the phone rings and you spend longer than you think, it can time out and you can lose them as well. So if you've done the work and you've searched the information and you've found the articles that you want, make sure that you do export them or print them or email them to yourself so you have a record of them. So that's really what we just wanted to bring you through this morning on EndNote. I'm just going to check, I'm just going to stop sharing and just see if there's any questions that you might have about the library. So ENSA is try and be as inquiring about how precise you have to be with your spelling. So be as precise as you can be. As I didn't have my apostrophe in children's nursing, so I could get a different result if I did that. All these resources will search for what you tell it to search for. So if you ask, if you're slightly off in the spelling, it might not get the results you expect. So do check your spelling. I hope that answered your question, Insa. And Aideen, I said some books could be borrowed for 60 days. Yes, those are books that are in the long loan or the general collection. There's three main collections. As I said, we have short loan, week loan, and long loan. So short loan, you can identify them when you're in the library because they'll have a red label on the spine. Remember, you cannot renew those. Week loan books will have a purple label on the spine, and then the longest loan, the 60-day, will have no label on the spine. Now, we say 60 days, but if somebody else is looking for it, that loan is reduced, I think, to 2 weeks or 12 days. So if it's a book that's in somewhat demand, you might be requested to return it before the 60 days are up. I hope that answers your question. I'm asked a question whether this presentation will be available to rewatch before the start of the course next Monday. I don't have an answer for that. I will be sending on a PowerPoint version of this presentation, so that might be available in Brightspace, but somebody else might be able to answer that question better than I can at the moment. There's a question. Can you access EndNote at any time to review your saved references? Yeah, EndNote is saved on your computer, so it's when you switch on the computer, it's available to you. So there's EndNote is available as long as you've got access to your computer. So. Well, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. So we're also we're only on site once per month. Would this be an issue if somebody else is looking? I don't think that would be an issue, because if you're not here, you're not here. So, but try and get it back as quickly as possible if somebody else is looking for it. Also had a question about how was it communicated to you that the loan length is reduced. You should get an email to your UCD Connect email address if a book is, or if something has changed on your loan. You can also go into your library account. If you remember, I showed you a button for that in UCD Connect. And you can go in, log in with your UCD Connect and tell you when your books are due back as well. Can you export the list to EndNote? Yes, the in one. If you mean the references and when you selected in one search, yes, they can be exported to EndNote. The same can be said for the databases like PubMed and CINAHL as well. So if you go through the training that I showed you, that'll cover all that and explain how you can get your references out of one search and out of the databases as well. Is there a penalty for forgetting to return a book? No. But there might be, you mightn't be able to borrow books while if you haven't returned a book that is due. But there's no financial penalty if you're late returning a book. Thanks for the update, Siobhan. As I said, I'm not going to have an information whether this presentation will be available. Maybe somebody else can answer that.
Hi, Dermot. Good morning, Dermot. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's Rita here again.
Hi, Rita.
How are you, Dermot? Thank
Not
you,
too bad.
Dermot, for your very comprehensive overview of our library services. Gosh, the sun is really blinding in my window, sorry, which is a good complaint, I guess. All the orientation session this morning, the recording will be available to all students. So our AV colleague, James, we will be making the recording available.
Thanks. I think I just have a couple of more questions. Well, actually, I have one more question, but about EndNote. Siobhan wants to know, is there code necessary when you download the EndNote software and UCD system? The only time you will be asked for a code is if you've made a mistake. So when you download EndNote to your computer from UCD Connect, it comes in a zip folder. So you need to just open the zip folder, copy what's in the folder to your desktop, and then install from the desktop. Then you won't be asked for a code at all. It'll happen automatically. So if you're being asked for a code and you're trying to install EndNote, go back a step and make sure you've copied the folder to your desktop, the unzipped content, and then install as you would install any other Windows package. Sorry, also a question, how many books can you be on loan? So it's 30 books for 60 days at a time, 3-week loan, and I can't remember, was it 2 or 3 short loan books. And Mildred wants to know, you can install it on any computer. What you cannot install it on is a tablet or a Chromebook. It has to be Windows or a Mac computer. So that's EndNote. So also, can you access the same EndNote account from multiple computers? So we recommend EndNote 20 for this course. So you can install it on multiple computers and then move your library around. And you can come and talk to me if you have more details, questions about that. I don't think it would take too long to explain here at the moment, but you can put EndNote on multiple computers. Also, so there's a state question here about exporting the full bibliographic, the reference in a referencing style from databases. Be very careful about that, about using other resources to export references in the Harvard style. The problem or the issue is that technically there isn't a Harvard style. There's a bunch of very similar styles that come under the heading of Harvard. And the school uses a specific version. So you could certainly export from EBSCOhost, but then you would need to check against the guide to make sure that all the details are what the school is expecting. So I wouldn't take it without adapting it for your own use. So also a question about downloading software like EndNote. You need to log in with your UCD Connect login details to be able to access software download. If you continue to have a problem with that, please just email me and we'll look into see what the issue is. And somebody is also asked, oh, so if I download the ebook PDF, can I access it after studies? Individual chapters, yes. So you can download chapters and they're on your computer, so you would have access to it after you do your studies. But there can be a limit on how much of a book you can download. So you just be careful of that. And then there's a technical question about UCD Connect emails on phones. I'm probably not the best person to answer that. It would depend on your phone and your setup. So yeah, I'm afraid I don't have.
That's okay. Thank you, Jeremy. Don't worry. My colleagues downstairs, my admin colleagues, which I'm most grateful to, will answer those.
Fantastic.
And we can follow through if there are some questions that we're not fully knowing the answer just now. We'll follow through with students. Thank you again, Jeremy, for all your help, and I know you'll be meeting many of our graduates over the coming year, as you always do. So we're delighted at this point to be kicking off again, and thanks.
Terrific. So just welcome everybody to UCD, and I hope to see you during the year. And do reach out to me if you have a question, so that we can get through using the library resources as painlessly as possible. But welcome to UCD. Take care.
Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone, and thank you all for your very comprehensive list of questions and to my colleagues in the programme office who are fielding all those questions online. And we're delighted actually to see so many questions. It's great to have your engagement, and to get issues and questions and things sorted out in advance is always good. So we just have a couple of minutes now if you have any more questions to put into the Q&A. My colleague, Associate Professor Michael Conley, will be with us in a couple of minutes. He's just coming out of another meeting. Michael will join us in a couple of minutes to follow up on our next topic. We're slightly ahead of time. But thank you all so much for your engagement. So if there are any other questions, please just follow through on the Q&A. And Brahman, I don't know if there's anything we've forgotten or that we need to follow up on in the interim. Following Michael, my colleague, Associate Professor Michael Conley will present. Michael is our Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning, and Michael will present on our plagiarism policy, which sort of links a little bit to what Jeremy was just presenting. So following Michael's presentation, we'll have a small break for a coffee, and we'll continue then with the rest of our orientation program linked to our specific graduate programs.
Yeah, I will also, I suppose after this session, and once everybody is registered, we'll be sending out through targeted communications. It's a plagiarism kind of document that Michael would like distributed. So if I could ask everybody to look out for this, and it will go into your UCD student email.
Hi, Rita. I'm unmuted now. Sorry about that.
That's okay. You're very welcome, and thanks for logging on with us, Michael. I've just advised our graduates. We're delighted. We have over 300. We have 325 people online with us, and I've just advised them that you're our Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Rita. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to UCD as you begin your graduate journey. In my role as Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning within the school, I chair the School Plagiarism Committee. So for the next few minutes, I'm just going to talk to you about academic integrity and plagiarism as an important part of your journey as students. So within the context of academic integrity, we do have a student code of conduct, which is updated on a regular basis. And that code of conduct you are required to adhere to, and is established under 3 principles out of respect, responsibility, and academic integrity. As such, academic integrity is a core value of UCD and describes the expectations that we have for integrity and honesty and adhering to the highest ethical standards in all of your academic activity within both your theoretical and clinical instruction. That academic integrity then means that you're expected to ensure that the work you present for assessment is your own work, and that the use of work and/or ideas of others are acknowledged using the recognized referencing system. And in the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems, we adhere to the Harvard referencing style. And that style and how we apply it is well set out in a document that's downloadable from the library. It's important that you value honesty in your scholarship as we would as academics. And as you work independently, it's about learning how to express your own original ideas, while also recognizing that sometimes we do have to use sources, but we need to appropriately acknowledge the ideas of others. And the development of the skills of expressing your own original ideas, while also being able to acknowledge the ideas of others, are really important skills that you will continue to develop over your time here at UCD. Like all universities, we're bound by academic regulations. We are into a new regulatory phase, 2023-2024. They haven't published the new one yet, but it follows a protocol where within the academic regulations, it sets out the responsibility of the student for academic integrity when completing any assessment that you submit. As module coordinators, I and my colleagues will take all appropriate steps to assess the academic integrity of any assessment that's submitted. And any assessment using Brightspace, there is an originality checker that we run all assessments through. You also get a report of that originality, that indicates whether or not and the percentage that may be similar to something else, or might flag us to look deeper into seeing where is there similarity in assignments that are submitted. Quite often the similarity may be in the language of the cover page, or that because of particular literature that various programs are using that is central to the discipline and to the specialty, there might be similarities there. It's the head of school's job to ensure that robust procedures in accordance with university policy and procedures are in place to address any alleged breaches of academic integrity. And in that space, as Associate Dean for Teaching and Learning, I've been delegated that responsibility by the head to ensure academic integrity. And one of the processes that we have in the school is having our plagiarism committee in place. So within that context, I want to talk to you a little bit about plagiarism. And plagiarism is the biggest issue that comes for our consideration in the context of academic integrity. So plagiarism is defined within UCD policy as the inclusion in any form of assessment of material without due acknowledgement of its original source. So that's where you are maybe paraphrasing a source and not citing the authors within text, or using a direct quote without putting it in parentheses, or if it's a longer quote, indenting it and single spacing it, and acknowledging the authors and the page from where you got that citation, that direct quote within the text itself. It's also seen as a form of academic dishonesty, and it's outlined in full in the student code under the section academic misconduct. Those who engage in academic misconduct do negatively impact other students and as well as that diminish their own learning experience. Plagiarism can be either intentional or unintentional, and in both instances, it is a serious academic offence and is and may be subject to university disciplinary procedures. So looking then at the specific forms of plagiarism. So one form is where you present in your own name work that's been authored by a third party, such as other students, friends, or family, with or without permission, or a work that you may have purchased, that's known as contract cheating, via organizations such as an essay mill. The original source may be in written form or in any other media, for example, audio or video. Other form of plagiarism is presenting ideas or theories or concepts, methodologies or data from the work of another without duly acknowledging it. Another form is incorrect paraphrasing, where you may present text or digital work, music, video recordings, or images of others with only a minor change. An example of a minor change would be using a synonym or changing the sentence structure to make it look different to the original. The inclusion of a citation does not eliminate this type of plagiarism. Correct paraphrasing in your own words must also include appropriate citation of the original source material that you're using as a source, even while paraphrasing. Another form of plagiarism is failing to include appropriate citation of all original sources. One further, representing collaborative work as solely your own, including colluding with or copying from others during examinations. And the sixth form of plagiarism is presenting work for an assignment which has also been submitted in part or whole for another assessment at UCD or another institution. And this is commonly referred to as self-plagiarism. So what approach do we in the school take, which is aligned with UCD policy and protocol, if suspected issues around academic integrity, in particular plagiarism, are suspected? So in the context of academic integrity, we focus on positive student behaviours rather than the more negative behaviours associated with something called plagiarism. In line with UCD teaching and learning and best available evidence, we provide guidance on preventing plagiarism, which emphasises education and prevention over detection. Therefore, our overall aim as a school is to develop your sense of academic integrity in order to prevent you engaging in any plagiarism. So these notes will be available to you after today. And links are live links. So you click here, which is underlined, and it will bring you into the website on how to enroll for an online module around academic integrity, which you can take if you so wish. Other resources that are available to you are some of the online resources within the library, which look at topics around academic integrity. Included in that is how to, or guides on writing style, guides on how to avoid plagiarism, referencing and citation. As I said, the Harvard Style Guide is available to download, and that's the guide that we use within the school for writing, for citing, and your reference list, and also other school citation styles that are covered within some of those library resources. We also, and you would have heard mention of this morning, the UCD Writing Centre. That provides free one-to-one tuition and a range of workshops on all aspects of the writing process. And I know you had a session on. So if plagiarism is suspected in submitted coursework, what happens is that the suspected plagiarism is flagged to the school plagiarism advisor, and if the suspicion is held up, then it is referred via the module coordinator and the plagiarism advisor to the school plagiarism committee, where we make a consideration of the evidence that's provided for us in the context of the assignment submitted and the originality report from Brightspace. We follow the policy as outlined in what we do. As chair of the plagiarism committee, I would normally invite the student if there is a suspicion of plagiarism, to meet with me to discuss the issues raised by the module coordinator who submitted the plagiarism referral. And thereafter, then the school panel plagiarism committee would meet and make a determination and make a recommendation as to the outcome following the review. So a couple of resources that are will be of help to you. I mentioned the academic integrity course on Brightspace, also the referencing citation avoiding plagiarism resources in the library, the direct link to the Harvard referencing style. There's also a link there on a tutorial on how to use the Harvard style. And there's a click for more information on our originality checker that's in Brightspace, which is called Urkund. Again, the policy related to student plagiarism can be accessed using the link I've provided here. And again, these handouts will be made available to you after today. And also the student code of conduct, which as students you are bound to. So that's all I have to say to you in relation to plagiarism. I'm not sure if I'm required to take any questions at this point, but I know this session has been recorded, so you can come back to it again. And once again, just to wish you all the best in your course. We flag academic integrity and plagiarism for your information. I hope I don't see you as chair of that committee at any time over the year or so you're going to be with us doing your graduate studies. And once again, to wish you all the best as you begin term on next Monday. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you very much for that comprehensive overview of our academic integrity and plagiarism. So now it's time for a coffee break. So
Rita, I'm going to ask James, our AV support, if James, if you would like to, because we actually are running ahead by 10 minutes, but if you would like to play the recorded testimonial from a former student of ours called Rebecca, who did critical care children, a graduate diploma with us, and we would like to play her testimonial.
Hello, my name is Rebecca and I am a staff nurse working in PICU at CHI at Crumlin. I completed the graduate diploma in critical care nursing children between 2021 and 2022. As part of the course, we completed 6 modules. There was the 2 core modules, the leadership and organisational dynamics, and research methods applied to healthcare. I found the core modules really beneficial in terms of my overall learning, and the research methods was particularly useful in terms of learning about how to effectively critique research and how to use research effectively. The 4 specialist modules we completed then were the fundamental concepts of children's critical care, advanced children's critical care, specialist considerations in children's critical care, and the clinical practicum. The specialist modules were particularly relevant to my daily practice, and they were delivered by clinical experts who were able to answer questions that we had on the topic and who were able to make it really relevant to our practice. I decided to complete the course over 1 year. It was definitely challenging to do the course and work full time, but it was definitely manageable. For me, being as organised as possible was the key to managing the workload of the course along with my shifts. When we received our lecture schedule and our assignment schedule, I used it as a guide to structure the year ahead. I would build my roster based on when we had lectures and when our assignments were due. I tried to utilise my study leave as best as I could, and I also chose to use some of my annual leave to take the pressure off around particularly busy times of the year, so that I could get everything done and handed in on time. There are lots of supports available to you when you're doing the course. I sought out a lot of support from my colleagues who had previously done the course and from my senior colleagues who I was working with. Your lecturers and course coordinators are also great and can provide guidance and clarity when needed in relation to topics that you're learning about or in terms of assignments as well. UCD also has lots of supports available to students, and the UCD Writing Centre is one that I used. Myself and a number of my colleagues use the supports in the UCD Writing Centre. It can feel like it's a little bit hard to find the time to seek out help from the Writing Centre, but I found that it was time well spent, and that the skills that I learned I was able to apply to all of my modules. Overall, completing the course was definitely a positive experience, and it has been hugely beneficial to my bedside nursing care. I feel like it cemented some of my previous learning, as well as introducing me to new and up-to-date concepts that I can apply to my nursing care. My advice to those starting their graduate learning would be to back yourself. You're more capable than you think you might be, and if at any point you are struggling, just make sure to ask for help. You might be surprised by how a small amount of help can really help you to get through a difficult time. It will definitely be a challenging year, but it's definitely worth it for your career, but most importantly for yourself.
Thank you, Bronwyn, for providing that testimonial from Rebecca. That was excellent. And hopefully this time next year, many of you will be able to report that positive experience and that your program has enabled and empowered you in practice, which is really our focus. So I think, Bronwyn, now we'll take our coffee break, and we shall be returning, and you've all received the link to the schedule is on our website. So our next session commences 11:30, isn't that correct, Bronwyn? And
That's correct.
the next number of presentations, different groups need to dip in and out. So our next presentation at 11:30 is for all students who are taking master's program with us, who will be registered for the evidence synthesis and evidence translation dissertation module. And our colleague, Dr. Carmel Davies, is going to speak to us in that session. But in the interim, it will be some time to get to catch a cup of coffee, and we look forward to seeing you back here in the webinar at 11:30. And just to flag again, my colleagues, my admin program office colleagues are all waiting and ready to answer any queries or any questions that you have. And it's really useful, I think, you know, to iron out a few queries today when we're actually here online in the webinar. So that's great. Thanks, everyone, and see you after coffee at 11:30.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So, Carmel, are you ready to do
Yes,
your
can you hear me,
presentation?
Bronwyn?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Great. Okay.
Thanks, Bronwyn. Thank you, Carmel, for joining us this morning. I'd like to introduce everybody now to my colleague, Dr. Carmel Davies. And Carmel is our module coordinator for this module, Evidence Synthesis and Evidence Translation, with her colleague, Dr. Deirdre O'Donnell, and Carmel shared this module. And just to flag that all students taking the master's programs need to listen and tune in to Carmel's sessions now. And the full focus of this session is on the research dissertation module on the master's program. Thanks, Carmel.
Thank you, Rita, and welcome everybody. It's nice to meet you, at least virtually. So just to, before I start, I will be going through all of this in great detail next Monday when we are together on campus. So it's really, this is just a brief introduction and a flavor. So don't feel you have to grasp all information because we will be going back over it. But as you've mentioned, Rita, it is the master's dissertation. So it's a 30 credit module, which is larger than most other modules I think that you would have had previously, which would be more akin to 10 credit modules. And the dissertation module is called Evidence Synthesis and Translation, and there is a code 44020. So I would imagine you're getting registered, and once you're registered you should be able to access Brightspace, and I just put up there on the left side what our Brightspace page looks like, so you could start to pin that so you have easy access. Okay, so Rita has already mentioned, I'm Dr. Carmel Davies, and I work with Deirdre O'Donnell on this very closely, the module. So we, every second year, rotate module coordination. So this year I'm lead module coordinator. So I'd like you to contact me if you have any personal, private or administrative kind of issues that we need to address. I'm also the lead in the evidence translation component. So any theory or seminars, I tend to lead on those components. And then I'm really lucky to have my colleague, Dr. Deirdre O'Donnell, who is leading on the evidence synthesis, and she guides us very much through systematic search. So we very much work as a team. We also, because this module is large and it's project-based with your dissertation, you will have an academic supervisor, and our academic lecturers all contribute to supervision. I should also say that Dermot Stokes, who you had a talk earlier with, does 2 or 3 sessions with us to support you in elements of the module as well. So thank you to Dermot for his contribution. So a little bit about the context of the module. So it's very much focused on evidence-based practice and you applying those principles to a problem or an issue within your nursing or midwifery practice. And I know there are a small number that are not nurse and midwifery registered, but you're working within the health system. So you're applying evidence-based practice principles to issues within healthcare. I'm talking to the converted, but evidence-based practice describes the healthcare that we deliver. It's grounded on what we consider best available and current scientific research, but we also consider all of the preferences of patients and their experiences and preferences around their care, and also professional clinical knowledge and the context of the setting. So evidence-based practice is very much grounded in scientific evidence, but we also need to consider patient preferences and professionals and their experiences and knowledge as well. And what we hope to do in this module is to develop your competencies around being able to research and implement evidence-based practice. So be able to implement new interventions or new standards of care into your clinical setting. And this is very much a national standard now of the National Clinical Effectiveness Committee, where they expect all healthcare professionals to have competencies in evidence-based practice. So our competencies very much focus on you developing a lot more confidence around being able to really lead change within your practice that will ultimately improve services within your practice and patient care, which is most important. We also know, which is great to have so many on a master's, that the level of nursing and midwifery education at master's level or higher is linked to better competencies with implementing research into practice. So that's very much needed within healthcare, where evidence is constantly changing. And we also know there's an association between research and improved care. So we hope that this module will very much give you a love and a commitment to being able to research and implement change in practice. So the dissertation, students really love it because you start with a problem in your practice, you assess very much, and you can start to think about this week, what problem or challenge within your clinical practice setting would you like to address? That forms the basis then of the project, and your project is essentially what you write up as your dissertation. And we bring you through a very guided process. So for the first few weeks, we bring you through the process of the evidence-based practice framework. You really start to assess and scope within your clinical context and really try and focus on the challenge or the problem that you want to address. And then we develop that into asking a research question, a clinical research question, and we use frameworks to help you to do that. And then we move, once we have a good research question, to being able to acquire what is the best available scientific evidence. And the way that we do that is we bring you through the skills of being able to conduct a systematic search. across databases. And that's very much where Jerma, the librarian, will help and support us. So that very much takes you through the early part of trimester 1, and then depending on the outcome of your systematic search. So if you have best available evidence where there are a number of studies out there that are answering your research question, you are more likely then to move to start to focus on synthesizing that evidence, using frameworks and critically appraising it and making conclusions about the need for change in practice. If there's already synthesized evidence, for example, if you've found a systematic review or you have clinical practice guidelines that are already synthesized evidence, then we will take you that you're starting to move to develop an evidence-informed implementation proposal. In other words, it's really the next steps around implementing evidence-based practice. And we very much then start to focus on developing more evidence around patient preferences, their experiences around your context and around your professionals that you work with and their experiences and knowledge around the topic. So we're widening out the evidence that we need to translate to practice. So you won't know at this stage which stream you will be on. We'll talk a little bit more on Monday about that, because we're all on a common pathway for most of trimester 1. So the module is outlined. There are learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are what we expect you as a student to learn throughout, and they're very much based on the knowledge and skills and competencies of evidence-based practice. And we then have built in all the way through the module scaffolding and support to help you to gain competency with each of those learning outcomes. And your dissertation largely focuses, primarily almost each chapter is focused on learning outcomes. So then you really have advanced to being able to develop your skills to be able to write that up into a narrative, and that forms your dissertation. So it's very well designed and thought out to really help you and support you with gaining your learning outcomes. Because it's 30 credits, it's 750 student effort hours, which is quite a bit. And that will be divided into some lectures, seminars, tutorials, and then self-directed work. And because it's project work, we will be expecting a lot of autonomous learning that you will be doing yourself as well. So I won't go through the learning outcomes, but they're in the handbook and you can take a little look at them. But for every section of the module, we will focus on the learning outcome that we're supporting you with and focusing on how you're progressing through that. Now, we have developed a very detailed module handbook, I suppose because the dissertation is 30 credits, and embedded within the module is a lot of seminars and lectures, but also then the requirements of the dissertation. So it's up to about 50 pages, I think. So that will be in Brightspace, and I would recommend you to download it and really read through it. And it very much is a great guide throughout the whole year. We use Brightspace. I know you've had a lecture with Orla this morning, and the way we use Brightspace is that we very much use it, that the module is blended. So there's some face-to-face in UCD, but there's lots of live sessions online. And then there's a lot of weeks that you will be self-directed and you can pace it yourself, what we call it synchronous learning. But we have been working on Zoom for quite a long time now, and we do very well in being able to have live sessions, break up sessions into small groups. And we really like that there's a social presence, even if you're not on campus. So I hope you enjoy the module in that sense, that it's blended and a little bit more flexible for you when you're living outside Dublin, or even if you're living 10 miles from campus, it can take a long time to travel. The way the module is set up, because it's blended and online, the best way to do that is to structure it by weeks. So every week on the Friday previous, the week will be set up and you'll have very clear instructions as to what's expected. So for next week, obviously, it's coming to campus. We'll break down exactly what is being covered on campus, and then whatever work that we're expecting you to do throughout that week as well. So it's very much structured and guided in a weekly manner. We also have support that we'll have ask a question, and I'll check that every 48 hours. So if there's something on content, you can put it up in ask a question, and oftentimes peers help each other really well with that as well. Now, everybody always wants to know dates. I will have these on Brightspace, but I suppose the most important thing is that you have 3 campus days in trimester 1, even though it's a 2-trimester module. We're just focusing on trimester 1 today. That is the September the 11th, which is next Monday, the 9th of October, which is week 5, and then on week 9 is also campus, which is the 6th of November. And we have come together as program directors and module coordinators to really ensure that the days we bring into campus, you try and have all the modules that are being run. So that is very much focused on us getting together face to face. What we have then in week 3, in week 7, and week 12 is live online. So you are expected at 2 p.m. on that Monday to be able to interact and engage with live tutorials, and they're really core for us. And then we allow the more blended, what we call the synchronous, which is the weeks that we put up self-directed work. It might be a pre-recorded lecture, but you actually can pace it throughout the week. So you don't have to do it at Monday at 2, but you have the week to engage in that work. So that gives it a nice blended and flexible feel to the module. In terms of the assessment, well, the large assessment, 90% is your dissertation, and that's a minor thesis of 10 to 12,000 words. And that assesses all of learning outcomes. What we build into the assessment then for 10% is what we call formative, and they're elements that will really help you to see how you're doing, get feedback, and they'll help to build in on the dissertation. So on the 9th of October, which is one of the days on the UCD campus, we will have experts within your program and your program directors to be able to help you where you pitch your research question. And we'll have worked up to the 9th of October on developing a good research question. And that's really about having experts to be able to give you feedback and go away feeling confident that you have established a good clinical research question. On the 24th of November, then there's quite a short assessment, and that's based on your systematic search. And Deirdre and I will give feedback within 2 weeks, and that really helps you with your chapter 2 of your dissertation and your search. And if there's any issues or anything that requires revisions, you get feedback quite early, so you can work on that. And then not until the 7th of May 2024 have we to think about the dissertation. Built into the dissertation is a supervisor, and you all will get a supervisor at the latter part of trimester 1, and they will help with reviewing draft chapters and also helping you very much with that element of the dissertation writing. We also build in that peers, we buddy you together, that you can look at draft chapters together as well. And the academic supervision, we will try and align you with supervisors that either are very focused on your methodology or focused on your topic. And we have common principles so that all students are treated equity and consistent with supervisors. So I suppose the main thing is come to campus for next Monday. We're actually over in the Newstead building, which is the civil engineering home. So it's on the Clonskee side. When you come into Clonskee and you turn left, there is a car park just outside Newstead, and that's where we're based in G80. So I'll put up the map and you will be able to see where it is. There is parking space out there, but by 2 o'clock, hopefully, but in the morning, that's where you could maybe park if you know you're finishing your day there. And we will start to focus on going back over everything to do with the module and the assessment in a much more slower detail. And then we'll start a lecture on evidence-based practice and starting to think about the problem and the challenge you want to address in your research question for your project. And Deirdre will be with me on Monday, so we'll see you in person. Okay, so that's it. Unless there's any questions, I'm happy to finish there, Rita, and address any questions that there might be. If anybody's any questions or anything, you can just ask. We can address them.
Thank you, Carmel.
All of that information I have now, I'm just going to put on Brightspace, and everything for next Monday will be on Brightspace by Thursday evening. So if you have Brightspace access, which many of you have, you'll be able to access your documents before Monday. If you don't have Brightspace access, if you have registration problems, that's no problem. Just come on to campus on Monday and we can still work through a good first session. Okay, Rita, thank you very much.
Sorry, apologies. I'm talking to myself. I was muted. Apologies. Thank you very much. That's great. So our next session just now is actually, our focus is on the Advanced Health Assessment module. So this module essentially is for students who are taking the Masters in Nursing Advanced Practice, the Masters in Advanced Practice Midwifery, the Masters in Critical Care Nursing, the Graduate Diploma in Primary Care Nursing, and the Graduate Diploma in Chronic Illness Management. They're the Year 2 students on Chronic Illness Management. So I'm going to just share my slides. And Bronwyn, can I just check with you, or James, please, if you can follow up with access to the hosts for my colleague Eileen Furlong. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Bronwyn. I'm just going to share my slides. Thanks, James. Okay, so welcome everybody again. So just to flag that if you're not taking one of these programs on the screen just now, you can actually take a short break away from our orientation session, because this is just a very brief, short overview of NMHS 42960 Advanced Health Assessment. I'm the module coordinator for this module, and I work very closely with my colleague, Associate Professor Eileen Furlong. So Eileen and I co-deliver this Advanced Health Assessment module. And we're delighted to invite so many of you, or to have so many of you on board with us this year. We will have almost 100 students in our module this term, and absolutely delighted to welcome you all on board with us. A little bit like Carmel just said, this is a very short, brief overview. Next Monday morning, we'll be in the classroom. So our lectures will commence next Monday morning at 11 in Lecture Theatre B005, which is a large lecture theatre on the ground floor here in our building in Health Sciences on the campus. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a very brief overview. Our whole focus and delivery of this module is in a blended format. We're very fortunate that we work very closely with our colleague Orla Daly, our educational technologist, and Orla has set this module up in a totally blended format in Brightspace for us, in order that you have a very structured and blended approach to address the learning on this module. So this is our UCD Connect interface, and this is our Brightspace tab, which will become your bread and butter, as essentially your whole focus in relation to this module. I want to draw your attention and in relation to the Advanced Health Assessment module overview document. This is a PDF document available in Brightspace. I know some of you may still not be registered to the module, but If you're not registered as yet, or if you don't have Brightspace access, please do come back to us about that. It's important that you have Brightspace access in advance of our module commencing next Monday. And we will be emailing you through the UCD Connect email from the Brightspace module. So, hello, Eileen, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Risha. Thank you,
Hello,
Eileen.
everybody. Thank you.
I'm just slight
No, I have been listening.
overview
Thank
of
you.
Brightspace there, Eileen.
Thank you. Yeah.
This PDF document really is a very clear outline of the week per week learning, the pre-required learning for class preparation, and also what's happening within our online class tutorials, what's happening in our lab days. So essentially it is a total structured overview of our module. You can download it as a PDF, you can print it off, or you can access it online. It's in the module information tab, which is in the My Learning tab, module information tab, and then the document is uploaded there. To be honest with you, this is a very quick whistle-stop tour. We will be repeating this essentially. Everything I'm saying now will be repeating next Monday. But just to give you a little flavor of what we're thinking about in relation to this module, we have been fortunate to provide this module over a number of years, myself and my colleague Eileen, and our whole focus really is, it's a multi-layered approach. But at the end of this module, we really want you to be competent practitioners in relation to taking a health history. We want you to really think about how you communicate with your clients, how your communication and your ability to take a history informs clinical decisions. We teach head-to-toe physical assessment skills. And we allow you to develop those skills, to practice those skills, and to achieve a level of competence that you need for practice. So between client health history taking and advanced health assessment skills, it's a very focused clinical module. It's a very focused learning for practice. So we allow you to think about presenting histories, how we use the evidence to inform practice, and how we interpret histories and findings accurately. We also have built into our module a pathophysiology platform called Osmosis, and we'll be showing you that in more detail next week. And students can dip in and out to our Osmosis platform to focus on the pathophysiological mechanisms that are important for you and your client base. So we have the principles of pathophysiology linked to very general things like inflammation, but there is a lot of information on osmosis that our students on this module have access to allow them to develop their clinical practice. And as you will have seen from our student cohort, we have a broad range of students. So we have from advanced midwifery to advanced nursing practice to our chronic illness primary care. So we allow students to be really self-directed in how they learn and how they apply this module. So as I was saying to you, we're very fortunate that Orla, our colleague whom you met earlier on, is working with us on this. And our module is set up in a blended format in Brightspace. You will have received an outline flyer of the dates for attendance from your program director. And also the module timetable is available in InfoHub. So you can go into the module timetable search, just key in the code 42960, and the module timetable will be available there for you. So we've built up the module on a systems approach, and each system is set up on a weekly structure and a weekly format in Brightspace. I mentioned to you already the module overview document. And we do have a very structured approach where the students have pre-required work. And we always say, and I know Eileen will reinforce this and reiterate what I'm saying, our pre-required work is crucial for your learning. We run review tutorials on the pre-required work. So your engagement with the pre-required work will really inform your ability to absorb and to learn the material as appropriately as you can to develop your practice. We do provide an online. We would like, insofar as is possible, that you can attend our online classes virtually. Our online classes will be recorded, but we have found, and we know from past experience, that students engage well in our tutorial. It's a face-to-face online space, but it's very much an open space for discussion and learning. And a little bit like today, where you're able to put in your questions in the Q&A, Eileen and I will both be available in the online space to talk to you, to follow through on any queries or points that you have. So what we would say is, insofar as is possible, if you can join with us in the online Zoom classroom on the Monday mornings. We've got a core textbook, and you will have received the reference, and I have the reference on one of the later slides, but we use the Bates textbook, and a really useful text for practice, but it's the Bates Guide to Physical Examination and History Taking. And we also have built within our module all the Bates videos. So there are videos to mirror exactly what we're trying to teach you or what we're following up on in the tutorials. So the acquisition of skills really has to be complemented by your practice. It's a little bit like, if you think back to learning something very ordinary in nursing, like taking a blood pressure when you started off, it only comes with practice. And practice is really, really crucial to complement your acquisition of skills. Some of you, students working in different areas can acquire skills more quickly than others. But we apply the learning, and you use the learning to support your own practice. It's very much a self-directed approach. We're a university, third level, level 9, but students are self-directed learners, and we encourage and recommend that you keep up with your own learning on the module. So the Bates textbook reference is there. I think you will have received it already from your program director. It is available to buy online from the UCD campus bookshop. It's also available to physically go in and buy it if you wish next Monday. So we recommend that students do buy the textbook. Some students prefer an online textbook. It's available as an ebook, so you can buy it as an ebook if you wish. If you have somebody in your practice area who took the module last year, you might be able to borrow their book and get a book from last year. And the textbook we're using at the minute is the 13th edition, but we know from before that many students share the textbook, over time. We also recommend students, if possible, to buy the Bates Pocket Guide. It's very useful just to have in your pocket or in your handbag or in your locker at work. So if you're interested in following through on the 2 textbooks, we've linked with Campus Bookshop to ensure they have a stock of that, but you can buy it online and they will post it out to you. So just in relation, I've mentioned the module overview document, the Bates Guide, the textbook. So for next Monday, our focus is going to be comprehensive health history taking. And in advance of next Monday, we would like you to read chapters 1, 2, and 3, if possible, in the textbook, if you have got the textbook in advance. However, if you haven't got the textbook, we really would like you to engage with our material in Brightspace in advance of next Monday morning. Next Monday, we will be, as I said, in Lecture Theatre B005, and myself and Eileen will be doing a full overview of the module. Our colleague Orla will be there to help you to focus on how to approach the module online, how to follow through. We have a number of built-in self-directed quizzes to support your learning, and also we have the Osmosis platform and H5P quizzes. So we will be showing you how to navigate, I think is the word, how to navigate all that material in Brightspace next week. And next week also, we'll be asking you to think about assessment of the skin and musculoskeletal system, because that's the systems that we will be focusing on the following week in our online class. Our first lab day is on the week of the 9th of October, but we go through all that. So we're in person next Monday, and then we're online for 3 weeks, and then you will be coming into some lab work. So I also want to flag to you that we've set up this system in Brightspace, ask in the discussions tab. So if you click on the discussions tab, you get a format called Ask a Question. So you can pose any question you like, or any question you think is relevant into that space. We'll be checking that each day. And the good thing about that is one person posts a question is probably a question a number of people have. So it allows us to communicate with you in a more sensible way rather than answering people individually. So we encourage you, if at all possible, please, to use the Ask a Question tab. But like just now, as I was saying, we'll explain it to you in more detail next week. I will be sending you an email in advance of next Monday just to clarify where you need to attend and exactly what you need to do. So far, I've got 95 students, I think, registered. So hopefully everyone is registered. If you're not registered, if you can please post a question in the Q&A or follow through with your program director or my colleagues in the program office who are online with us now. So as I was saying to you, myself and Eileen co-work on this module. We've got the Osmosis platform. My colleague Orla's email is there, and I know Orla provided her email earlier on, and my colleague Bronwyn, who's our programs manager. We have a very large team of colleagues working with us on this module. As you can imagine, we will break the group of 100 students down into small groups to work in the labs. So we have colleagues from our faculty here, and we're very fortunate also that we have a number of adjunct clinical lecturers, and we have a number of registered advanced nurse practitioners who come in and teach with us, all graduates of our program. So we're very fortunate and delighted to have our clinical colleagues to come in and work with us on the module. I don't know if there's anything, Eileen, you'd like to say. I'm probably on a whistle-stop tour there.
Thank you, Rita. No, you covered it well. Just as you said, we're just looking forward to seeing you and working with you on this module. It'll be, it's usually well received, and we've no reason to believe it's going to be any different this year. So, yeah.
And we'll have a wonderful experience of our whole new primary care group, our practice nurses, and our community RGNs. But just to clarify again, all our communication has to be via Brightspace, so you really need your Connect address. But if you have any particular questions or concerns, please do email me in advance of next Monday. And really looking forward to meeting you all in person. We work very closely with our student cohort, and we try and establish your area of practice to allow us to focus with you on what's really crucial for your learning and what you need to get out of this module to ensure that we have an appropriate process of learning for your clinical practice.
I think for Monday, if you're sorry, Rita, no, just saying that if you're not familiar with Brightspace, it's that navigating of it, even just becoming a little bit familiar with it this week, it just helps that that process if you're not familiar with Brightspace. And just if you can access the book or access the Bates book, that's great. Those two, they would be really helpful for Monday.
Lovely, thanks, Eileen. If anyone would like to post a question for us, we're here to answer now. If not, we'll be very much here next Monday, and we'll be here to chat with you. So really looking forward to meeting you all in person. Virtual and blended learning is good, but wonderful to have the blended format, but we always like to make contact with you and to talk with you and to have that face-to-face opportunity to chat with our students. I just checked the Q&A here. I don't think, is there any questions we need to follow up on? Sorry.
It's just a timetable. Neve is asking. So Neve, the timetable will be up on Brightspace. And is there assessment? We'll talk about the assessment dates on Monday. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is 50% passing across the graduate programs in UCD.
And where to buy the book?
Yeah.
Sorry, the book.
Go ahead,
Sorry, somebody's asking about the Bates book. It is available on so if you're in on Monday, you can go across to the campus book site, the bookshop. It is available there. Yeah.
And somebody has asked about the 10th edition. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to buy a new book. There's a couple of small nuances, slight changes from the 10th to the 13th, but I think it's quite sufficient.
Yeah.
Don't you think so, Eileen?
Yeah, no, I do think so. And then you just have to, maybe the page numbers and things are a little bit different. Another person just saying being unavailable next Monday, unfortunately, that's a pity because, and you know, it isn't going to be recorded. Our live sessions are. So it's then you following up with a colleague and making sure that you, and follow what's up on Brightspace, obviously, please.
Jenny, if you go into the NMHS 42960, I double checked that yesterday, and I don't have lectures up until August, so I'm not sure about that in relation to the timetable. The program director, your program director will have sent you out the program dates, but come back to us on email if that's not making sense, Jenny. Is that okay?
And Vina is just asking, I presume this is for us, Vina, the second year of the MSc Advanced Nursing Practice. The Advanced Health Assessment is on the first year of the Advanced MSc Advanced Nursing Practice program.
So October the 10th, somebody is asking me, pitch on October the 10th. October the 9th is a Monday, and that's a day in the labs here on the campus. So that's a face-to-face day, Anne-Marie. One of the girls is asking about October. It's Monday, October the 9th.
The primary care group are in on the 12th. So yeah, but we can clarify all that on Monday again. Thank you.
So if you're able to log into Brightspace, you'll be able to see the module overview, or you can download the timetable in InfoHub. Okay, is that okay? Is there any other questions that anybody has? Please do feel free. I'll be here. Feel free to follow up on email if there's something that's not making sense or there's something you want to check with us. More than happy to follow up with you. So look forward to meeting you next Monday. Thanks again, Eileen. I must stop the share. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing and I'm just going to check. James or Bronwyn, as far as my memory or my information is telling me on my timetable, we've now got an introduction to the 2 core modules on our graduate diploma programs.
Yeah, and James will, these are actually pre-recorded sessions. So James will play the first one, which is Mary J. Murphy. And it's it's the introduction to core modules, which is nursing, knowledge, philosophy and practice. That's NMHS 43260. And then this will be followed by research methods applied to healthcare, which is NMHS 43270.
And these modules essentially are core modules across most of the graduate diploma programs. Thanks, Brahma.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mary J. Murphy, and I am module coordinator for this module, Nursing Philosophy, Nursing Knowledge, Philosophy and Practice. So you're all very welcome to the module, and I look forward now to working with you over the next trimester, the autumn trimester. Just to say that this module is a core module for some of the graduate diploma programs. So you can see here is the list of them, and it is both the part-time and the full-time programs in cancer nursing, intensive care nursing, diabetes nursing, the critical care cardiovascular, emergency nursing, and the part-time courses of those as well. And then we've got chronic illness management. So just to be clear about that, because last year I had about 20 students in the class who were sitting there, and half an hour in, they were like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, I'm on another module, because they thought this one was core for them. So just to make sure to check the program that you're on and your core modules. Okay. So the outcomes for this short session here today is that you know where to be on Monday, the 11th of September at 9 o'clock, because on that day, we're going to meet for the first time in person. And in that session that morning, I will go through the module in detail. I'll give you an outline of the module. We'll go through the learning outcomes. I'll provide you with a detailed timetable, and I will explain about how the module is going to be delivered over the next 12 weeks. I'll also give you details about the module assessments, the type of assessments, and the timing of the assessments as well. Once we've got that part completed, then I will go into Brightspace with you all and orientate you to it again. Now, you will have access to it before that day, but just it can be a little bit tricky until you get used to it all. So I encourage you to, when you're registered and you're in there, to click around, look and see the different tabs and that sort of thing, and then I can answer any of your questions. But I'll go through some of the main challenges that students have faced over the years. It's pretty good, but there's just a few little things that I need to point out to you. And then we'll be hitting the ground running on the first day, engaging in the module content, where we will be looking at nursing as a profession and discipline, and looking at how that's related to nursing knowledge and the type of knowledge that we use to underpin our practice. So for that reason, then it's very important that you're in UCD on Monday the 11th, and the location is in the Newstead Building, Block B, in Lecture Theatre G80. So we are, just to be clear, that we're not in the Health Science Building, and the Health Science Centre is where is Building 30 on this map here, and it's where the Nursing and Midwifery Department is, but we're actually not in that building on the day. Now, I have done a snippet from the main UCD map, and the full map is available for you all in Brightspace. So once you get registered and you click into that, you will see that map there. UCD campus is a large campus, and for many of you, you're coming back to it, so you're very welcome back, and it'll be much easier for you now to find your way around. For other people, it can be quite challenging until you get yourself familiar with it. But there are many entrances into the actual campus. For the purposes of going to the Newstead building, the nearest entrances then are the Newstead entrance or the Clonskea entrance, which is just off the Clonskea Road. And the ARB building is just there on the corner of that entrance. There's some other public houses there, and then the actual UCD campus starts down there. So you can, if you've got a choice, you can choose to go in for those. For many of you, you may well be coming in from some of the other entrances, which is perfectly fine, and you just need to make your way over across campus to get to the Newstead building. Now, last year, the students said to me to make sure to point out about the parking, that it can be quite a challenge to get the parking, get parking there. So we do encourage public transport, coming by public transport if you can. And if not, aim, particularly on the first day, to arrive early so that you can get parking. People arrived at 8:20 and they felt they were driving around nearly an hour later still looking for parking. So maybe come early and get yourself a coffee and have a nice walk around, because the campus grounds are actually lovely if it's a fine day, and that you can get out there and have a nice walk before we go into class. So the main thing anyway is that you're going to get to this building by 9 o'clock on Monday the 11th. So the approach to the building, most people will probably be coming from this side here, walking in along this way once you've parked up or you've come by bus or whatever. So I'm going to just show you some pictures of that approach now. So you'll be coming from various roads here, and you'll be arriving around this area here, and you can see there that it's actually a signpost, and you said building block B, but there's actually no arrow to go, so it's not that building there. You could be lulled into thinking that, but no, you are walking in between those two buildings up along here, and you can see there's the road that you go up along, and the entrance into Newstead is just there at the top of the road. So that's where what the entrance is, and the lecture theatre is directly inside that door. Then when you go in, you just walk across the pathway to it. So once you get there, it'll be easy to find the lecture theatre. Okay, so in terms of face-to-face sessions then, you are just required to be in UCD for 2 face-to-face sessions for the purpose of this module. And the second face-to-face session is on the 23rd of October for the same time, 9 to 12, in the same building in lecture theatre. So you'll be back there again. Now, in the meantime, until we meet up, you will be very busy registering to your various programs. So I do encourage you to put your time and effort now into making sure that you have, that you are registered and you get access to your UCD Connect account, because then you'll be able to get in to Brightspace. So once you're you've logged into there, you will see your Brightspace, the application for that. Once you click in that, you will be brought to your suite of modules, and everybody registered to my module, nursing philosophy, nursing knowledge, philosophy and practice, should see this appear on their homepage now. So you'll have, I have different modules to you, but you should have that one. Now, so when you click into that, then you will be brought to the homepage of the actual module. So I'm going to click in there and bring you over to that now. Okay, so we're now on the home page of Nursing Knowledge, Philosophy and Practice. And on the home page, when you move down along it here, you come to the module descriptor. So you can, again, within that, you can move this tab along, and this will give you all the information about the module. So there you can see information about it and the learning outcomes. You've got what will I learn? How am I eligible? Well, you'll all be eligible because when you're registered to it. How will I learn? What happens if I fail? Assessment, feedback, and the strategies used and the associated staff. So you can just click on any of those tabs there, and you can see then you'll be provided with information about it all. So you can work away and access that then in your own time between now and when we meet up. The second part or tab that you will be using most often is the My Learning tab here. So when you click into that, you will be brought to this page here, and so the overview, I have the welcome message there for you, and there's the map that I was referring to earlier that you can click into and see. I won't click into it now. And then you have got areas here with different information available in them. Now, I highly recommend that once you're registered and you've access here, to have a look at those and read up on the various links that will give you various important aspects of information that will be important for you in understanding all the processes in UCD and that sort of thing. So I leave that with you. In time, you can see all the weeks are there ready to be made available to you. You won't see those as yet when you go in. So that's the main parts. And as I said, I'm going to go into that in more detail on Monday 11th when we meet in class. And then you can ask me any questions of clarification or anything like that at that stage. So just flick around, you can't go wrong, just clicking on all the various different parts. Okay. So just to say that I'm looking forward to meeting you all on Monday the 11th and working with you all over the autumn trimester to try to demystify the whole world of nursing knowledge, philosophy and practice, how we think about it and then what we actually practice. It's important for you all in all of your diverse settings as we all strive to provide effective, compassionate care to patients and people we provide our services to, and so that we can understand that and articulate it very coherently. So thank you for listening. I will answer all your questions on Monday the 11th in class. Bye-bye, and I'll see you then. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Aoife de Bruin and I'm an assistant professor in the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems, and I am module co-coordinator for research methods applied to healthcare. So in this brief presentation, I'm just going to introduce you to the module. Really, the module is an important introduction to research methods for the practice of nursing and midwifery. Obviously, evidence-based practice is a key component of nursing and midwifery practice, and this module will introduce you to key concepts in research. We know research may be new to many of you, but we encourage you to come to the module with an open mind. We've designed the module for those without a lot of experience with research, so you'll be well supported through the module to learn the key concepts and begin to apply the key concepts to your own area of practice. Unfortunately, I can't be at the presentation today, but I have included my email address here and at the end of the presentation if there's any questions. But just to state clearly that in advance of the module beginning in early January, you'll receive very detailed email about how the module will work and how it'll run and what the expectations are in advance of the first lecture. So in the module, it's really designed to build on your existing knowledge and really to appreciate research, to understand research and to support you in your critique and understanding of what is appropriate to translate into practice and why it may be appropriate. So we want you to give you the skills to understand research so you can read research and understand what's relevant, but also to design and carry out your own research and take part in research in your own areas of practice. So on completion of this module, you should be able to discuss the relevance and importance of evidence-based practice for effective healthcare delivery. As we know, it's an essential part of nursing and midwifery practice, so it's really about giving you the skills and understanding and how to apply these skills to everyday practice. We'll introduce you to the philosophical underpinnings and the frameworks around healthcare inquiry and an understanding around how this influences the decisions and choices we make when we conduct research. There'll be lots of practical work in terms of developing and formulating appropriate research and review questions relating to healthcare problems. And these healthcare problems are really drawn from your own areas of practice, so they'll be made very relevant to your own knowledge base. We'll also introduce you to various types of research designs, both quantitative and qualitative, and we'll give you support and information resources to demonstrate how important it is to justify your choice of research design and ensure that your choice of research design is appropriate to the question that you want to ask. We'll also give you some tools and introduce you to some techniques to critically review and analyse relevant literature using appraisal tools. And finally, we'll support you in identifying the considerations, implications, and the potential for the translation of evidence into practice. And you'll be asked to apply these areas in the assignment to your own area of practice. So really try to build that knowledge into a problem you're facing or challenge you're facing in your own healthcare setting. This module will take place entirely online through a mix of both live, online and recorded sessions. All the content will be available via Brightspace and all the links for live sessions will be available on Brightspace too. So we have 4 live interactive group sessions throughout the module, and these 4 sessions will take place online via Zoom. The dates for these sessions are on the slide here. and you'll be broken into groups for these online sessions given the size of the class. And an email will follow very early in the new year to explain all of this and to assign you to your allocated group and to explain how the groups will work for these online sessions. For those that may need additional support, we'll host optional online drop-in sessions as well over the course of the module. The Research Methods module is divided into 5 key topic areas that guide the teaching and learning activities and will structure the Brightspace interface as well. So these are divided into evidence-based practice, research paradigms and epistemology, formulating research questions, research designs and critical appraisal, and finally ethics, public and patient involvement in research, and knowledge translation. So within each of these topics, you'll be provided with a series of short video lessons, supporting learning activities such as additional reading or online quizzes, and resources for independent learning to support you in your worksheets that you'll be working through during the module. So this worksheet is for individual use throughout the module, and it's something to support you through the module in terms of building on your ideas and fleshing them out as you learn more about research methods. Again, we'll go through how to use this worksheet in that first lecture in January. In addition, we'll hold peer-to-peer discussions around each topic via Brightspace for groups as well. So the assessment, again, the assessment we'll go through in a lot of detail in the first lecture, so don't worry about this too much now at the moment. 10% of the module grade will go toward the peer-to-peer appraisal and feedback activity. So in late February, early March, you'll be asked to draft a 400 to 500 word summary of your research ideas. You'll get feedback from your peers and you'll give your peers feedback, and that counts for 10%. And then your end of term written assignment really builds on your peer appraisal work and the 5 topics presented in the course to develop your own research idea. And this is 90% of the module grade. Just to be very clear that these assignments are linked, and your midterm activity is very much a stepping stone to your final activity and will support you in your final assignment. Again, don't worry about this too much at the moment. We'll explain this in detail during the first lecture and have detailed assignment guidelines to guide you through this process too. So thank you all very much for your attention. You're all very welcome to UCD to start your programme, and we're very much looking forward to meeting you all in the spring. In the meantime, if anybody's any personal queries they'd like to direct to me at this stage, my email address is below. Thank you all very much.
Hi, Rita. Just to say, our final presentation is also pre-recorded, and it's on behalf of Patricia Fox, and it's the overview of clinical competence assessment tool.
Hello everyone, my name is Trish Fox. I'm the Programme Director of the Cancer Nursing Programme, and I am going to give you a brief overview of the Clinical Competency Assessment Tool, or the CCAT, as I will be referring to it from here on. First, I would like to join my colleagues in welcoming all of you to UCD, and welcome back to those of you who are on the part-time postgraduate programmes, and to those of you who have studied in UCD previously. We're delighted to have you back. Just one thing I want to say at the outset is that this presentation is for those of you who have a clinical practicum module on your programme. If you do not have a clinical practicum module on your programme, then you do not have to listen to this presentation. So in this presentation, I'm going to give a brief overview of the CCAT. I will describe the aim of this assessment tool. I will briefly discuss the clinical competency assessors and the domains of competence. However, I'm going to spend most of the time focusing on the preparation, i.e. discussing the learning needs component and the process for completion of the CCAT, including timelines for completion. Because this is a recording, and I know you have been listening to presentations all morning, I am not going to go into any detail in relation to the domains of competence. Hopefully you're familiar with the domains already. If you're not so familiar with the domains, please review the detailed descriptions in the CCAT, and please go through the document thoroughly in your own time so that you are familiar with all the requirements. Just to note at this point that you will have 3 meetings with your assessor across the academic year, where you will be assessed across all 6 domains of competence. So this is the document we are talking about. I know some of you will receive clinical learning outcomes as well. So just to be clear, this is the one, this presentation is focusing on the one that you're going to be completing with your assessor. It is an official examination document, so please do ensure that you fill in your details at the outset, just in case it gets lost, as it has happened in the past. And there have been some occasions where at the end of the year, the CCAT has been submitted with no name or details on it. So if you have already completed or partially completed it and had some of your meetings with your assessor and you lose it and your details were not on it and it's never found again, then that means you have to start again, and obviously that's going to be, you know, very stressful and inconvenient for both yourself and your assessor in the long run. So the aim of the CCAT is to facilitate the assessment process and to enable you as the student to demonstrate your knowledge, skills and understanding of specialist theory and practice. It is one of the assessment strategies on the clinical practical modules which have a pass-fail outcome. You will have other assessments for this module. So, as I said, many of you will have clinical learning outcomes or other assessments to complete on this module also. And as you will see, I have underlined specialist there because when you look at some of the domains, you might quite understandably say, of course, I am competent across these areas, but oftentimes when we move to a new specialist area, we might be tested in relation to some of the domains, perhaps around communication, particularly if you are focusing on new skills that require your full concentration for safe practice, understandably. So just to remind or to remember that it is in relation to the specialist aspect that we are focusing on in these domains. Just very briefly regarding your assessors, we would like to say a big thank you to them. We appreciate they are already very busy and they are taking on this extra role. So we would like to express our appreciation for this. Some of your assessors have undertaken these assessments for many years, so they're very familiar with the CCAT. This year, the layout is slightly different, but please reassure your assessor that the domains and subdomains have been simplified with a view to making the assessment tool clearer and avoiding the potential for repetition. I noted at the beginning of this document, my colleagues, Associate Professors Eileen Furlong and Rita Smith, our Associate Dean for taught Graduate Clinical Studies. Eileen and Rita is our Associate Dean for taught Graduate Studies. They've both done a lot of work in relation to simplifying it and avoiding the potential for repetition. So, as I said, just please do reassure your assessors that, that this is, you know, even though it might look a little bit unfamiliar as opposed to in the past, it is and should be hopefully a better document. The Assessors CCAT online workshop is on Wednesday, September 27th, and it will be run by my colleague, Associate Professor Eileen Furlong, Director of Taught Graduate Clinical Studies, as I said, and your assessors will be able to meet with your programme directors on the day, so if they have any questions specific to the programme. Your assessors will receive an invite and a link to this workshop. If they have not received the invitation and link to the workshop, can you please advise your programme director so that this can be addressed? And, you know, again, just to reassure them, it will be recorded, but if possible, it would be good if they could attend the online event. Again, as I said, if they have any specific questions. What is important to say here is that it is preferable that the same assessor undertakes all 3 assessments with you. Having said that, we know that it is not always possible if, for example, your assessor moves to a different area or goes out on maternity leave. So if that does happen, please inform the program director as soon as possible with the details of your assessor and of your new assessor, and you will need to complete and upload a new clinical competency assessor's form, as you have done when you applied for the program, just to have that on the record. Also, it is preferable that your assessor and yourself have similar rosters as much as possible, because as you will appreciate from assessing undergraduate students yourselves, that really is the only way that they will be able to determine your level of competency across the different domains. By witnessing your skills in undertaking new procedures in the specialty area, or effectively demonstrating your clinical decision-making skills, your assessor will be in a better position to determine how your level of competency, how well your level of competency across the different areas is developing. So as part of the clinical practicum module, you will be engaging in a theoretical component focusing on quality and patient safety. So the only point I want to make here is that this page, page 35, needs to be signed by yourself and your assessor prior to submitting the CCAT document at the end of the program, as it is important that you discuss your learning from this component with your assessor. So the domains of competence, as I said, hopefully you are all familiar with them, and if not, please do go through the CCAT and read the descriptions in detail. So we are talking about the professional values and conduct of the nurse competences, nursing practice and clinical decision-making competences, knowledge and cognitive competences, communication and interpersonal competences, management and team competences, and leadership, potential, and professional scholarship competences. And we acknowledge that some of you may be in leadership roles already. So again, just to acknowledge that in terms of that, the wording there. So in the next few slides, the focus is on the preparation of and completion of your CCAT. So you will need to identify your learning needs, and you will do that on the pages listed here. What is very important is that you identify your learning needs prior to each meeting. So you must have identified at least 2 to 3 learning needs in the relevant section for each domain for the upcoming meeting. So try to aim for at least 3 learning needs. What you should do prior to identifying your learning needs is review each of the domains, the subdomains, and the indicators, and consider how they apply to your current role and your patient population. And I've provided some examples in the following slides. However, while some of these may be applicable to all, it is going to be a little different for each of you, depending on how long you've worked in the specialty area, how varied your experience has been, and what your patient population looks like. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind in relation to my text here. So at this juncture, it is essential that you take a little time to reflect on what you feel you need to learn for your specialty area. Again, what is very important is that you discuss this with your assessor before you write in your learning needs in pen. So you can jot down in pencil what you believe your learning needs are. But please, again, as I said, discuss with your assessor, and your assessor may agree with many of your learning needs, many of the learning needs you've identified, but may also help you to prioritize your learning needs and suggest some new ones. What is very important is that you are you aim to be as specific as possible in relation to those learning needs. So rather than writing down very vague and general statements, please be very clear in relation to stating what you feel you need to do, such as a particular procedure you need to become competent in, or a particular protocol you need to become familiar with. Many of you are probably already familiar with using the SMART acronym for identifying goals, so that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And so this should be helpful when you are trying to articulate your learning needs also. One of your learning needs for your first meeting could be that by the next meeting, in other words, second meeting, you will need to gain a greater understanding of the psychosocial challenges your patient and or their carers experience, and the supports that are available to them. And to do that, you could say, I will need to spend time with the medical social worker and the psychologist or the psycho-oncologist. So in there you can see that it is clear and specific. You're providing specific details. It's measurable. You either do it or you don't do it. It should be attainable on your placement. It is relevant in the context of person-centered care, and it's time-bound because you're aiming to have it completed by your next meeting. So again, what is also important here is that your clinical learning outcomes should be reviewed prior to identifying your learning needs for guidance, as they will clearly identify what you need to be competent in. If you do not have clinical learning outcomes, you can discuss with your assessor what your clinical documentation, you need to complete, if any. You might wonder if you need to identify learning needs prior to the third and final meeting, given that they won't be signed off by your program director after it's been submitted. But the answer is yes, because we're all supposed to engage in lifelong learning. So please do include them, as I said, even though they won't be signed off at that stage. So this is what the section for the learning needs looks like. This is for the first domain, professional values and conduct of the nurse competences. And as you can see here, there is a row for each of the meetings where you identify your learning needs, and your assessor can then comment on them. Assessor can comment on them in their particular section there. So for the first meeting, they may just state that they agree with the learning needs that you've identified, and they would arrange or help you to arrange that you may shadow the medical social worker or psychologist, just going back to our early example there. So it is essential that you have completed your learning needs just prior to each meeting, but it is advisable that you do not complete all of them at the same time, when you are completing them for your first meeting. I will talk about the submission dates a little later. And as you can see, I've put in here October for completion of the first meeting, January, February for the second one, and April, May for the third one. But please discuss those dates for completion with your program director. So I've just included the slide to remind yourself to only fill in the section appropriate to each meeting. We have had some students write in the learning needs for meeting 1 and extend them into the section for meeting 2. And while you could go ahead and enter those learning needs in pencil for meeting 2, it is probably better just to wait until just before meeting 2 to write them in. So for this slide, it's identifying the assessor's feedback and feed forward for domain 1. And this is completed for all the domains at each meeting. In this section, your assessor can elaborate on your learning needs as identified for each domain and on how you are progressing with respect to each of the domains. This is particularly relevant for the subsequent meetings, so meeting 2 and meeting 3, and it will be important to comment on whether or not your learning needs from the previous meeting have been met, how it may be sorry, I should say, it may be that for whatever reason you haven't been able to accomplish them, and that's okay. They can be brought forward to the next meeting, but it's certainly very helpful and informative for us as program directors to see this follow through, where your assessor indicates that yes, you have met this learning need, and how you've accomplished it. So again, the more detail that's included there, the more helpful it is for us just to see how well you are progressing, or if there is a need for more supports to be put in place. So now just moving on to looking at each of the 6 domains of competence, I'm just going to provide some examples of what you might consider for each domain. So for the professional values and conduct of the nurse competences, we can see the subdomains. We can see what they are here. So the subdomains: practice safely and practice compassionately, practice professionally, responsibly, and accountably. So examples of learning needs here could be: I need to update myself on the data protection policy, GDPR, on the dignity and respect policy, on the new protocol for the management of X procedure. I need to update myself on the NMBI standards and guidance, for example, working with older people, legislation, on the code of professional conduct and ethics. And for nursing practice and clinical decision making, the next domain, subdomains there being: assess the person's nursing and health needs, plan and prioritize person-centered nursing care, and utilize clinical judgment. So examples of learning needs here might be: to further refine my assessment skills of patients admitted with X complication, to become competent in identifying patients at high risk of whatever the particular thing is, complication is, based on their diagnosis, their age, their comorbidities, to be able to effectively assess and manage patients who've undergone X procedure or surgery, and all the while respecting patients' preference throughout, obviously just honing in on the person-centered aspect. So knowledge and cognitive competences, subdomains: practice from a competent knowledge base, use critical thinking and reflection to inform practice. And examples of learning needs there: I need to develop my critical thinking skills further in the context of caring for patients presenting with certain symptoms. So consider other possible conditions, complications, side effects of prescribed and non-prescribed drugs. So your differential diagnosis obviously needs to be evidence-based. Or I need to reflect on and consider my own learning needs in relation to undertaking X procedure. For the 4th domain, communication and interpersonal competences, subdomains there being: communicate effectively with the healthcare team, communicate in a person-centered manner, and examples of learning needs being: I need to improve communication with the MDT, engage more with consultants. I need to improve communication with patients and carers, so observe senior staff members discussing prognosis or breaking bad news. Or I need to improve my communication with primary care teams, for example, the GP and public health nurse. I need to develop strategies to overcome barriers to communication, sensory, psychosocial, language, cultural literacy, all being examples. So you may wish to use some of these, but please do think up ones of your own also, because they're going to be relevant to your area. So management and team competences, subdomains being: manage the team, others, and self safely, practice collaboratively. Your examples of possible learning needs there might be: I need to take charge of the unit and be, again, specific, agree dates with the CNM. I need to share my learning from researching whatever the particular condition is, you know, or it was for your assignment. That you share this learning with your work colleagues, undergraduate nursing students. I need to become more familiar with supports for patients within and outside the hospital. On placement, I need to spend time again with MDT members, medical social worker, the dietitian, physiotherapist, psycho-oncologist, smoking cessation team, in order to gain a better understanding of their role, so that referrals I make are appropriate. And finally, domain 6, leadership potential, professional scholarship competences. So develop professional scholarship, develop leadership potential. And examples of learning needs here might be, I need to prioritize time for self-directed learning and make critical questioning a habit. You certainly will need to prioritize time for self-directed learning, because given our programs are being delivered online now, that is an expectation that you know, is come about certainly more recently. Continue to reflect on and learn from critical incidents, experience. I need to become more involved in clinical audits on my unit. For example, I will aim to contribute to the planned audit on X. So here are your different achievement levels on page 5. Again, you'll be familiar with these. So I'm not going to go into detail here, other than to say that by the third and final meeting, you need to have achieved at least you know, the level of competence. Many of you will be proficient, many of you will be experts in across different indicators of subdomains of domains, but you only need to have reached the level of competency. So for successful completion of the programme, as I said, although some of you may attain higher levels of achievement, all students should be deemed at least competent in all indicators of all subdomains of all domains by the third and final assessment. The level of achievement needs to be entered as either N for novice, AB for advanced beginner, C for competent, P for proficient, or E for expert. So it must be individually recorded for all of the indicators, and there shouldn't be a, you know, a little mark, you know, kind of just capturing all of them in one. It shouldn't be A, B, or C, and it shouldn't be a check. It should be for each of the indicators. I'll show you that in another slide. So you, again, must achieve the clinical learning outcomes where required and have them signed by your senior colleagues. And please make sure to have all of this very legible and clear and completed in pen, because they will be uploaded to Brightspace. And if they're not legible, we may need to return them to you if we cannot read them. So, you know, we don't want to do that. So please just make sure it's very clearly written in. So recording the level of achievement, this is the correct way to do it. As you will see here in the section for the level of achievement, we have the 3 meetings. So meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3. And again, just because it's easy to, you know, people are tired or forget, and we're all tired and can forget sometimes. For meeting 1, sometimes we see people signing off meeting 2 as well. So please just make sure that you know, cover that over or whatever, or just put a little sticky note on it or whatever to block it out when you're getting or asking your assessor to sign off for meeting 1. So it's just this first column for meeting 1, the second one for meeting 2, and the third one for meeting 3. So for the first assessment in October, you'll just be focusing on this first column. And here, each of your indicators should have either one of those levels of achievement, as I mentioned. So this is the correct way to enter it. And I've just put those in as examples. This is incorrect because it has a check beside it. It has A, B to C. It has an X beside it. So unfortunately, this will be returned if it's submitted like this. So again, just to save yourselves and your assessors and everybody, you know, time and stress, and not be, you know, stressed by it, please just make sure you complete it properly the first time. There is a supportive action plan. So at any stage in the assessment process, a supportive action plan can be formulated using the pro forma provided at the end of the document to assist the student to attain the desired level of competence prior to the next assessment. An action plan will normally be formulated within 3 weeks in the event of the student not having reached the required standard of practice, of competence, sorry. So again, what I mentioned earlier is that level of detail that comes back from yourselves and your assessors at each of the meetings in relation to your progression should hopefully, you know, mean that you know, these action plans will not have to be put in place, but it is there as a safeguard to support you, you know, if it is needed also. So submitting the CCAT assessments, the clinical practical modules folder has a folder entitled CCAT Assessment Online Submission. So you'll be making 3 submissions in total, so 1 following each meeting. And you're required to photograph or scan the completed pages of the CCAT document, so that'll be pages 10 to 34, and to collate the photos or scanned pages as 1 single PDF document for each CCAT assessment submission in Brightspace. And there are instructions on Brightspace to help with this. So you can use any app that you're familiar with to photograph or scan the CCAT pages to create the PDF document. So the program director will advise on the submission dates for this. It may be a little different for each program, and there will be no need for a final hard copy to be submitted at the end of the program. And this is the way we would have done it in the past. We just want to acknowledge our colleague Orla Daly, who is our Technology Enhanced Learning Manager, for all the work she has done in relation to this. So we also have a protocol for students unsuccessful in achieving competence at the final meeting. Students who have not attained the required level of competence by formal assessment 3 will be submitted as a field mark in the clinical practical module to the exam board, to the program exam board. And there will be a need to repeat the assessment using a new copy of the CCAT, and a supportive action plan will be initiated under the direction of the program director. The time frame for repeat assessment will be a 1 trimester clinical placement in the trimester following the original trimester offering. So again, hopefully it won't come to that point if we get you know, if we have good communication throughout with your assessor, and we get good detailed feedback for each of the meetings. Just a few final important points. It is your responsibility, it's always our responsibility as a student, to approach the assessor to discuss the arrangement for the 3 assessments. Sometimes we hear from assessors who say the student has not approached them. So just again to say that it's not up to the assessor to approach the student. It is the student to approach the assessor. The assessors have done their program, they've been there. So again, please just make sure that you make those dates and arrange a date that's going to be mutually convenient for both of you. So normally the first assessment should be around October, the second one in January, and the third assessment before the end of the program, early sort of April, May. Now, having said that, please discuss these with your program directors because it can vary across the programs. What we would really strongly advise is that you plan the meetings earlier rather than later in anticipation of unexpected issues that may arise. I don't need to remind you of things like the COVID-19. There's been so many things that happened in the past, snowstorms, ash cloud from volcanoes, always the norovirus, there's the, regular flu. So you may get sick, your family may get sick, your assessor may get sick, your assessor's family may get sick. All of these things do happen. So if you put a date in the diary nice and early, even if you do need to reschedule or push it out a few weeks, that it will still be within a reasonable time for you to ensure that you have, that you're in and around those timelines. And what we don't want to be doing is asking you to be doing this coming up to Christmas, and we certainly don't want to be putting that stress on you or your assessors either. So just to bear that in mind. So at any point, students or assessors may contact the relevant program director in UCD if any clarification is required. And it is better to identify and address problems and issues early in the process, as we all know, I think just before they, get to be, bigger and less manageable. So finally, I'd just like to say, I hope you all enjoy your programme over the coming year. It will be very busy, but hopefully very enjoyable as well for you as you engage with the content that's relevant to your specialty areas. So thank you for listening. Just to put up there some resources, and very importantly in there are your assessors, your CNMs, the CNSs, senior staff nurses, ANPs and other MDT colleagues. And our acknowledgements, we would like again very much to thank all of the assessors who are undertaking the role this year and have in the past. And to mention that this CCAT document was developed by UCD colleagues in partnership with clinicians in the Mater Misery Quarter University Hospital, St. Vincent's University Hospital. Sorry, I should have in there CHI Crumlin, I do have it actually, and Our Lady's Hospice and Care Services, the National Rehabilitation Hospital, and the Children's University Hospital. I mentioned again, thank you to our colleague Orla Daly. And with that, I would like to again thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Trish. So that's come to the end of our session. So I know my colleagues in the program office are still answering some queries online. So all I need to do now is just sign off. I don't think there are any specific questions. Tricia, can you see, you can see the Q&A?
Sorry, I'm here. How
is
are
there
you?
Something there you need to follow up on?
Yeah, I'm just looking at a couple of them. One is my assessor is more junior than me. Is that okay? It depends on whether that person has completed a specialty program. That's one of the requirements, and the other one is in relation to their years of experience. So usually it's 2 years in the specialty area that we require. So if that's in place, but normally we would it would be the line manager or the CNS of the specialty area that we would encourage. So that might be a discussion you might need to have locally. The other question is, do these levels of achievement affect your overall grade? It's a pass-fail grade for that module, the clinical practical module. So yes, it's one of the components that's in that. So if you fail that, hopefully people won't, but if you were to, then yes, that would unfortunately be a fail for the module. So just in relation to the protocol we talked about there, it would require being completed again. Where do you get the CCAT document? That will, I know for my own students, I'll be handing it out next Monday, the 11th, when you're in. So I take it that my colleagues will be doing the same. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else there. I think there was a question about the timelines, but hopefully that was answered. Yeah.
Thank you, Trish. I see a lot of questions just about the CCAT document. So just to say that it is available in the program office, but it's the program director who, so I don't want every student dropping in for it. The program director will actually be the person. So the next time, I mean, I presume people will be on campus, and that's when you'll get your hard copy. So, but please ask your program director. The program directors will be the person to distribute them. Thank you.
You're mute.
Sorry, I'm talking. Sorry, Trish. Thank you so much for that comprehensive overview of the clinical competence assessment tool. And obviously Eileen, our colleague, Associate Professor Eileen Furlong, is our Graduate Director of Clinical Studies. So we'll all be here to support you on your programme. But as Eileen said, if you link directly, if you have any questions about your assessors or the CCAT document, it's important that you link directly with your programme director. Is there anything else I need to say there, Ali? No, I don't think so. Or Trish, no. Okay, so I know my colleagues from the programme office, Nicola and Asmahan, are still online with us. So I'm not sure if there are any further administration points that we need to follow up on, Nicola. And if not, what all I need to do then is really to sign off from our graduate orientation today. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and we've had a wonderful attendance, and hopefully you've had your queries answered. If not, as you know, and as we flagged throughout this morning's sessions, we're all available here on email. So please do contact us if there's something not clear or something not that you need to follow up on. And thank you again for attending, and we look forward to seeing you on campus in Belfield next Monday, the 11th of September. Thanks so much. Nicola or Asmahan, I think you're probably, I can see Asmahan is still answering some admin queries here. Thank you. And thank you, James, for your audiovisual support with this webinar today. And as we flagged earlier, we will be making this recording available for all our graduate students commencing this September.
Rita, there was just one question there, and it might have been answered, but just in case it wasn't, was about if people who are doing the program over in year one have to do it, and it's not until year 2 of the specialty programs. That query might have been answered, but just in case. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Trish. I can see Nicola still answering a question there, James. So I guess we can finalize the recording very shortly when all the answers are closed. Thanks very much.